Good luck tonight, guys. I'm going to go watch the race.
The road to $10,000 begins this evening at the Daytona International Speedway. This is round number 1 of the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship in 2013. 43 drivers getting ready to take to the high banks of Daytona International Speedway in hopes that they will be crowned the 2013 NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Champion. Tim Terry, Tony Stevens, Joe Cortez here to call all the action for you here in the booth. Nim Cross is with us as well to give us some insight on what will be going on this evening. And guys, we have a lot to cover this evening, and we can probably start off with the big story. We had 48 drivers try to qualify. Unlike other NASCAR series that you may see, there are no provisionals from last season. Your second place driver in points from last season, Mike Conti, did not qualify for this evening's race.
Yeah, Tim, that was the big story we were all talking about before we came on air. It was a difference of 7 1/1000ths of a second. Conti ran the second slowest time in the entire qualifying session, a 46.015 second lap. The time that got in the show, 46.008. Literally, as we said, 7 1/1000ths of a second. He's already been second-guessing things, Tim, but now all you can do is move forward from this and try to chase down everybody else in the next 17 races now as opposed to 18. Is it doable? Yes. Is it much more difficult? Absolutely. But I think, Joe, if anybody can do it, Michael Conti might be the guy that can do it just by missing that one race and firing himself up for the rest of the year.
But Tony, I think a bigger surprise out here is the man who set the new track record and is on the pole. Hard-hitting Matt Whitten out there. The man from Virginia driving the number 18 VPR machine. He's going to be the one starting on the pole. Not only that, but he also set a new track record tonight in the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship. So there's a lot of different storylines we're going to need to follow tonight. And among them is going to be our new pole sitter and where the last season's champion sits, Ray Alfalo. He qualified in this field way down, not to where we're used to seeing him tonight, and it's going to be really a treat seeing him race his way through this field.
We have about 8 minutes to go before we go racing here this evening. We want to remind you that if you're joining us on the Motor Racing Network for the first time, we want to welcome you to the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship. And you can see on the bottom of your screen as well live timing and story from the event this evening. If you're new to the World Championship Series as well, you want to head over to the dedicated website for this series, wcs.iracing.com. That's wcs.iracing.com. If you're on Twitter, please join in the conversation at hashtag iRacingWCS. That's hashtag iRacingWCS, and follow along at iRacingWCS on Twitter for all the upcoming information on this series. Going to kick it down to Nim Cross as well before we go racing here. Nim, you saw this race play out last year as I did. 77 laps, caution-free before we hit the first caution flag of the evening. These guys, with this brand new Gen 6 car that iRacing has put out, it handles a little bit different. What do you think we're going to see here this evening?
Well, one thing we have to remember, as you mentioned last year, remember early in the race, Derek Wood blew his engine because he wasn't managing the heat so well, the temperatures, his temperature gauges. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that. I saw out there earlier tonight that Brian Schoenberg had a little bit of an overheating issue just in this practice session before the race. So we are going to have to keep an eye on that. 72 laps before that first caution last year. It's going to be tough to make it this year because the cars are very loose in traffic. The guys got to be very careful around other cars when they're in the dirty air, and we're going to have to keep an eye on that and see if it becomes a factor.
Thank you, Nim. And speaking about this new car and the Daytona International Speedway, we're going to go into hot laps right now with Steve Sheehan and Brian Blackford to bring you up to speed on what you missed over the last couple of months here at Daytona and for the Gen 6 car for the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship.
Hey guys, this is Steve Sheehan. I'm back with my friend Brian Blackford with our Hot Laps segment. ready to cover this season's NASCAR iRacing Series World Championship. So this is probably going to be one of the easiest hot laps I call. Across the line, right on the bottom next to the yellow. We're going to slide up a little bit, not quite to the wall, perhaps about to the dotted line, come back down to the yellow line, hold that yellow line as best as possible without hitting it and bouncing off it. Keep your wheel as smooth as you can. You're going to come off turn 2, slide up right to the wall, ride that outside line about to the middle of the back straightaway, then start gradually bringing it back down to the yellow line into turn 3. There's a little bump on entry into turn 3 that you might hit, you might hear scrape a little bit. Don't be alarmed, it won't affect the top speed too much. Now coming off turn 4, you can save a lot of time by keeping it a little bit to the low side. Move right back down, all the way down to the flat to the tri-oval, cross the line for a hot lap. There was an impromptu Daytona shootout that we ran a couple weeks back. We saw just how difficult these cars are to drive in a big pack. You're going to see some examples here. It's just very difficult to drive, and we really have to stay on top of our game all the way through the corners, even at a flat-out track like Daytona. We're going to be driving a little bit sideways all the way through these corners, especially the cars that are way up next to the wall when they're 3 wide. This is very, very sketchy racing. We are going to be having to wheel these cars to race really close, and it's going to be very important for us to have a very comfortable car under us. Now, one other key difference with this car is we're having to really pay close attention to the valance and the rear of the car to make sure it's not bottoming out. Now, a little bit is okay, but you can actually scrape off a lot of speed by bottoming out, especially that right rear. You're going to see a couple cars that aren't really able to hang in there, but down the straightaways are pretty fast. It's probably because they're bottoming out a little bit too much. Now, after we're all up to speed and we're getting into the tandem, for the most part, it is going to be switching every 2 laps or so. Now, the biggest difference in how the draft and aero package works this season is the middle lane is very, very dominant. If you get a run on 2 cars rather than going high or going low, we're almost always going to want to shoot through the middle because it almost works as a slingshot effect, the way the 2 side cars pull on that middle car and shoot him through like a cannonball. Now, pit strategy for us is a little bit different than real life. Believe it or not, we're a little bit smarter about it most of the time. We can go about 43 laps, give or take. We're not too sure because it's a new car and we haven't run with this many cars yet. But basically our strategy is it's an 100-lap race. We want to make one last pit stop as soon as we can. If we can go 43 laps, we want to pit with 43 to go. That also means that last pit stop we're making with 43 to go, we don't want to have to add a lot of fuel to that car. Basically, that means every single caution, every early yellow we get at the start of the race, we're going to be coming in to top off. For the entire race, it's going to be a lot like what you saw from us last year, where it was a big pack of cars, and for the most part, everyone kind of being patient using their heads, and then those last 20, 30 laps is when we all go crazy, basically. We mix it up, we go 2 and 3 wide, sometimes 4 wide, you'll see tonight. That's it for us this week in our first installment of the season. We're going to be doing this for every race on the schedule, so make sure you tune in a little bit early so you can watch these things. In 2 weeks, we're at Vegas, and Vegas is going to give you guys a really good look at just how difficult these things are to get a handle on. So myself and Brian Blackford, thank you guys for tuning in, and hopefully helping a lot of you new guys, as well as some of you experienced sim racers out with this new car.
So that's where we are now. We take one quick look back at last season, and we'll look at this race at the Daytona International Speedway. Jeremy Allen was your winner here last season. Robert Hall second, Michael Conti third, Richie Davidowitz fourth, and Pat Baldwin in fifth. Keep in mind, Jeremy Allen, Richie Davidowitz no longer a part of this series. They lost their license through the licensing system. They dropped out of the top 25 in points. Michael Conti did not qualify for this race. And then you got Matt Witten, Richard Towler, John Gorlinski, Tom Lewandowski, Brian Schoenberg. top 10 in this race last year. And Tony, points from last season, we mentioned the big one, that number 2 slot, not in this race.
Absolutely. Michael Conning, we talked about him at the top of the show. It's a big hole he has to dig out of to try to keep Ray Alfala from three-peating, but Kevin King, Nick Ottinger's going to be somebody to watch this season, as will Brian Schoenberg. Same with Patrick Baldwin, Robert Hall, Byron Daly. Tyler Hudson won the shootout a week ago tonight. He might be a dark horse, and John Adams also might have a shot as well. Of course, Hudson looking for his first win. Adams looking for a W as well. And again, Michael Conning, the second-place point guy, Joe, missed the show here tonight. Going to be a big hole for him to climb out of.
So 2 things were guaranteed here tonight, Tony. Number 1, we are going to have potentially a new winner for this series. We're not going to have anybody defending their championship from this race last year coming in. Number 2, we could potentially have a new manufacturer win this race. Tonight is the introduction of the Fords in the Ford Fusions in the Gen 6 model here at NASCAR in the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship. So it's entirely possible we're going to see 2 new firsts tonight. A new first Daytona winner and a first new winner in a new manufacturer.
And keep in mind, 2 years ago, it was Ray Alfala in victory lane in this race. And, of course, a couple of years ago, the season opener for this series, Dale Earnhardt Jr. was the driver to walk away with the win. Let's go down our starting grid for this evening's racing action, round 1 of 18 on the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship in 2013, and you'll see in front there's a whole lot of VPR, Virtual Performance Racing. Matt Whitten, 18 on the pole, 45.955, or a speed of 195.844 miles an hour. To the outside, former Pro Series champion in the core pipe, number 82, Alex Warren.
Rolling off third, car number 81, the Gary Mercer Trucking Machine, that's Adam Gilliland. To his outside, the 27 is Cody Bias.
In row number 3, it'll be the number 5 of Cody Bias. In 5th, on the side of him, Derek Crone will be 6th.
That's Patrick Baldwin in position number 5. Chad Coleman in the Hickenjicks. Ford will roll off position number 7. To the outside, it's the 96, the JDR Graphics car of Rich Doucette.
Joey Brown in the Unique Signs and Designs Machine starts 9th. And then Carson McClellan, car 24, the Facet Purelator Chevrolet, is 10th.
On the inside of row number 6, will be Marcus Lindsay in the number 1, starting 11th. Outside of him, Jason Karlavich in the 60, starts 12th.
Couple of drivers who have a whole lot of history and a whole lot of history of running up front. Nick Ottinger, 05, 13th. Kevin King, 29 and 14th.
Jared Crawford in the 83 rolls 15th. Casey Malone in a car number close to my heart, number 92, starts 16th.
Brandon Kettle in the number 80 machine will start 17th. That's the Integra Chevy. On the outside of him, it'll be Casey Malone in the number 92, starting 16th.
Brandon Cattell and Brad Davies roll off the next row.
Tyler Hudson's TDH delivery machine and the Chad Lawton car rolls 20th.
In row number 11, Robert Hall on the inside in the 30. Byron Daly in the 93 starts outside.
Matt Bosa rolls off 23rd, and that's Paul Kashiba, 24th.
Row 13 belongs to Dustin Montgomery on the inside. Peter Bennett, the 69, on the outside.
Steve Sheehan in the sponsor me number 6 is 27th, and Philip Geis from Germany is 28th.
Row 15 will belong to Joshua Lawton in the 40, the 29th. Josh Berry in the 91 starts 30th.
Thomas Lewandowski, Michael Johnson, John Adams, Carson Downs, Landon Huffman are the next 5.
Next 5 is Brian Schoenberg in the 55. Ray Alfala, French champion of the 2. Danny Hansen, Brandon Schmidt, Alex Chambrone, John Gorlinski, Andrew Fash, and Landon Harrison round out your field of 43 tonight.
And with that, the green flag is out here, Joe. The field begins to pick up speed for the first race in the 2013 NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship. And it is Matt Whitten on the jump as they race to turn number 1, and over $10,000 in cash and prizes to the champion at stake, with a number of other points-paying positions, winning prizes as well. This is the first lap of many in the course of this season, Joe. It already is shaping up to be a great season. Let's enjoy this next half a lap or so as the new Gen 6 cars take the banks of Daytona.
Low line seems to be the place to be as Matt Whitten continues to lead. He's got 5 cars helping him out, but look who's on top there. The number 96 getting help from the 12 and 60. That's going to be a big challenge now for the lead. Richard Doucette will get help from Joey Brown. Joey Brown getting help from Jason Karlavich. And now the high line starting to make a run at the man who would be king.
Yeah, Whitten trying to work the bottom there with Adam Gill, and of course that's where they've been all race long here. I mean, we're only a few laps into this one, but really I can't blame them for holding on to that yellow line. It's the shortest way around, Joe, and it's probably the most difficult way to allow anybody to pass you because, of course, the high side is the longer way around. Want to make a note here very early as we get ready to complete lap number 4. Any Alex Chambrone fans, he is now serving a 1-lap penalty on pit road. You'll see the field now go by him, getting up to speed here on the short stretch between the start-finish line and turn 1, but a little bit of an issue with some of the stewards before the green flag has prompted them to penalize Chambrone for 1 full lap. And Joe, that's a lap he'll not be able to make up with the free pass. He'll have to do it the hard way, either with the wave around or simply getting up and out driving the leader. And speaking of doing that, Adam Gill, look at him on the top side, Joe. He's trying to make something happen in that Gary Mercer trucking machine, pulling up and alongside of Matt Whitten in the 18.
So Richard Doucette's going to give the push to Adam Gillen, and this time by, Adam Gillen will be your leader. So he's going to pick it up this time around. But something interesting I'm kind of following back to the field. Ray Alfalla, your champion last season, has the best lap out here on the field so far. 3 wide towards the back of the field around Alfalla. He's trying to get around the 05 and 11. And now the 01 falls way through. Uh-oh. This could be hairy. This could be dangerous.
And Alfalla is making the top side work, Joe. In fact, now he's trying to close in the 12 and Joey Brown, who kind of got hung up top. Alfalla says, no, I'm not helping you. I'm just going to go where I want to go. And that Pro Geek consulting machine, one of the few Fords in this field, is absolutely dicing through everybody like they are butter. And he is not only a hot knife, he's an electric knife right now, Joe. From the back of the field, about 37th spot, to just inside or just outside the top 10. Oh, big one! Here it is! Alfalla is in it! Alex Warren gets it done!
He's going to cause a big accident out there. 26 involved, 82. That's going to be a big hit to the man who was the champion last season. Yellow flag out on lap 6.
Certainly not a good move if you're Ray Alfalla. I mean, there really wasn't a whole lot he could do, but right there in the wrong spot at the wrong time. It looked like Alex Warren just kind of got... I don't want to say turn, but he got shoved into the corner, lost control of that car, and tried to hang on to it. And somehow there was only, 2 or 3 cars involved, with Warren and Alfalla getting the brunt of the damage. And Paul Kashiba, I think, might have caught a small piece of it. But as you said, Joe, very, very big hit to Ray Alfalla's repeat championship chances. Michael Connie right now, if there was a saving grace in this event, I think, Tim, maybe this is it, that arguably his closest competition just got taken out at lap number 6.
Keep in mind, guys, as well, there is one drop race in this series, so the best 17 races count towards your championship total. So Ray Alfalla has damage, but it might not be the biggest worry. He still has 17 races to do something with this season. But Ray Alfalla, Alex Warren, 2 drivers that know how to win championships here, guys. Alex Warren, the 2011 Pro Series champion. Ray Alfalla, the 2-time NASCAR iRacing.com Series world champion. Those guys know how to rebound from races like this.
They do, Tim, and that's why they're a champion. That's why Ray Alfalla has won 2 of these things back-to-back. He knows that one bad race doesn't make your season, and really 2 bad races doesn't make your season. It might make it a little more difficult, as we said about Michael Connie earlier in the night, but if you know what you're doing and you have the performance that Ray Alfalla has, and you can win 5 or 6 races in a season, it makes it a lot easier to overcome those bad nights. And Joe, with as competitive as this field seems to be early on this season, I mean, I know we're at Daytona and the draft is a great equalizer, but a lot of new names up front. You know, it might be a little tougher road to hoe right now for Ray Alfalla, as it looks like everybody is on pit road except for your 2 leaders, Gilliland and Whitten. Everybody down to the attention of their crews.
Richard Doucette will lead them down. Joining him will be Jason Karlavich, Patrick Baldwin and company also down there as well. A lot of these guys going to be looking not necessarily for tires, but maybe adjustments on these cars as they start to figure out what's going on. But while they're down there, might as well take 2 tires unless you're Alex Warren. And then there's a 6 for Steve Sheehan, who only takes fuel. He'll be the first one off pit road.
Steve Sheehan comes off first, as you mentioned. Jason Karlavich, Robert Hall, Rich Doucette, and Chad Coleman, your top 5 off pit road. And Tony, you know this as well as I do. Fuel is big at Daytona International Speedway, and also our next venue that we'll visit, that is the Super Speedway at Talladega Super Speedway a little bit later on in this season. Adam Gilliland and the 18 car of Matt Witten out in front. They're definitely not out of this here, but it's going to be a different fuel strategy for those drivers. Nim Cross, what's going on with Ray Alfala?
Well, we're down here talking to Ray's crew, and Ray seems they have a lot of damage to the car. They have 2.5 minutes of required damage and 9 minutes of optional damage, so a lot of damage on that car. We'll see Ray Alfala and his crew work on that, and they'll be in the pits multiple times during the race to get that fixed.
And guys, I think that the saving grace for Ray Alfala right now, Joe, is if we get some early cautions, and there were a lot of people predicting a bunch of early cautions, maybe he can get that car fixed to be able to be competitive again. Last weekend in the shootout, we saw him get involved in an incident, drove his way back to the front. In fact, we saw that a bunch last week. Guys getting involved in wrecks, fixing the cars, and then they were able to drive back to the front of the field. But the question is, I mean, do we really see that with 40-some guys here in the field?
It's entirely possible, and as we saw, as you mentioned a moment ago, right there in the shootout last week that we saw, you can still be competitive in these Gen 6 cars. You can take a little bit of damage out there, you can get a little bit of beating out there, and still be able to race. It wouldn't surprise me if Alfala maybe doesn't take it home the entire race tonight, but at least show up with a top 10 if he can continue to get that damage worked on, get that nose where it needs to be, and just keep digging through this field.
Still working caution period number 1 of the evening. We're going to bring in Mike Conti now. Mike, this is not where you wanted to be watching the race. What happened in your qualifying lap?
Well, Tim, before I begin, I think I owe it to my sponsors to get them out here because they're kind of getting screwed tonight. Main Performance PC, RCRL, the Huntcast online radio show, Kyle Young, Jeremy Lacazga, everybody, JDR Graphics that paints these cars. I just want to thank them for coming on board, but we weren't where we needed to be. I DQ'd, and everyone with the same setup that I was running, it was pretty much 31st on back with Gorlinski in 41st or 42nd. We didn't have the speed. I'm sure the race setup was going to be okay, but we were missing something. It all goes back to the new car coming out, the G6, and we didn't figure it out. I didn't really have a hands-on approach with the setup this week. Tom Lewandowski is really good with that stuff. They won the pole last year, and he really took the reins this week and worked on it. And he couldn't find anything, and I wouldn't have been any help either because I'm not really too good with the super speedway stuff. It's a whole knack. Matt Witten, that whole team, they have a guy, John Ritchie, who really helps them out a lot in those setups, and he is a master at super speedway. So I wasn't surprised when they got the pole and qualified in the top 5, but we just weren't where we needed to be, and we'll go to Vegas next week, Tim, and hopefully we'll make the race and start the rebound going next week.
Mentioned it with those guys involved in the first caution, 1 drop race in this series. How big is that when you're looking at a championship picture?
Well, I think we saw last year Nick Ottinger was suspended for Daytona, and if he didn't have the connection issues that he had in the summer months of the season, I'm pretty sure he could easily finish either 2nd or 3rd in the points. And like I said, he did get 0 points for Daytona, so he was able to rebound. He had a lot of strong finishes, and I'll try to follow what he did last year in his rebound, and I think we'll be okay. I saw Ray got caught up in that one, and of course that's another really, really strong contender. I mean, he's won the championship the last 2 years, so he's going for a 3rd one this year. Not the way he wants to start the season, but he can rebound. I think I can rebound, and hopefully next week at Vegas, like I said, we'll bring something better to the track.
So what do you think we're going to see here in this 90 laps remaining in this race? And I know you're got some teammates out here that you might be rooting for. Who do we see in victory lane in 90 laps?
Well, I think we're going to see these guys start to calm down a little bit, Tim. After that first caution right there, you saw Alex Warren get pushed into the corner, get a little bit loose with that rear spoiler. I think people are going to start riding in line, but I really think Danny Hansen, Brian Schoenberg, hopefully Brian can get his first win tonight. He's been trying for 3 years, so it'd be cool to see him do that. So hopefully one of the Dacia cars gets a victory lane, or one of the drill aisle cars, Tom Lewandowski, Gorlinski, Davies, one of them. So we'll see how they do, but it should be a good race, and I'm having fun, as much fun as I can, watching it right now.
We're getting ready to go back to Green. We'll let you go. We'll see you next week in Vegas.
Thanks, Tim.
Before we go, Green, Nim Cross down on pit road.
Alex Warren working through 3 minutes and 30 seconds of optional repairs right now. 3 cars, 1 lap down. That would be Alex Cambrone, Alex Warren, and Ray Alfala.
So we'll see those guys try to rebound next week as well at Las Vegas as the First Racing Ford Mustang pace car getting ready to head to the infield. Adam Gilliland and Matt Witten. Your front row is Steve Sheehan and Jason Karlavage. Row number 2 pace car in, and here comes Adam Gilliland. Green flag flies, and we're back underway at Daytona. 10 laps complete.
So we're a tenth of the way through this one, Tim. That's 25 miles in the books, and it might not seem like a lot, but really that's a good thing for a lot of these drivers. They get the jitters out of the way of the first race of the year. They realize what their car has or doesn't have, for that matter, and they're able to kind of settle in and get their game plan for the race. So a lot of guys, once they got around that wreck, very happy to see this caution flag. One of them right there in third spot, that's Steve Sheehan. He's looking for a sponsor, and obviously he can get you some TV time as he's running here in the top 3 at Daytona, but took fuel only, Tim. Started way back in the pack, used that pit stop to his advantage, and now hopefully this race will unfold the way that he wants as you ride on board with his rear bumper, Joe. And that's Robert Hall shoving him to the tri-oval here in excess of 200 miles per hour. Sheehan able to hold on to that Gen 6 car, and that's one thing a lot of these guys talked about in the little bit of offseason there was with this car, Joe, how much of a handful they really are when somebody's all over your back bumper.
Someone has a handful right now is the driver of the 60 machine. That's Jason Karlavage. He's been getting the push from Richard Doucette for about a lap and a half now. And Doucette and Karlavage working real close together, trying to get up front, trying to catch up to your leaders. But so far, still stuck in traffic, still stuck behind the number 6 machine. The 18 and the 81, Witten in second, Gilliland in first, continue to have a hold on this race. But it's only a matter of time before these guys start to bunch up and really show these leaders what these Gen 6 cars can do in traffic.
Rich Doucette graduated from the Pro Series last season, and he won a pole at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. As here comes Matt Witten to the outside, Adam Gilliland to the inside. They're going to do the switch up in front, and who is going to take advantage of this one? Here comes Karlavage, here comes Steve Sheehan, as they're side by side for the lead. The Gary Mercer Trucking 81 has the point as we run down the back straightaway.
Gilliland's been pretty much refocused over the wintertime, Tim, and I think this is a manifestation of that. He's right here in the front of the field at Daytona. Not that Adam Gilliland hasn't been competitive anywhere. I mean, he's been a standout in the Pro Series. He's won races there. He's done a great job for Virtual Performance Racing, but I think maybe now he's got his focus just shifted a little bit right here to the Nisswig, if you will, and I think it might show through. He's been fast all race long. In fact, even in the off-season practice and testing, he's been fast. I think Gilliland might be one of these guys they might have to watch out for, at least in the first half of the year, Joe.
Some guys are trying to get as much focus as they can right now with the JDR cars. The 96 of Richard Doucette, the 83 of Jared Crawford as you ride along the rear decklet now of the guy who wants to be leader. That's Steve Sheehan. Gas only for him, and he's got the advantage right now on that 81 machine of Gilliland. But Gilliland using that low line as advantage, getting the push from the number 30 machine of Robert Hall, and they're going to get back up front, and they can continue to lead this race. 18 now drops to 6. And he's going to leave him to dry. Left him high and dry on the high line.
And that 18 looking for his teammate Adam Gilliland, but they have the Sim Chassis teammate of Robert Hall stuck in the middle. Robert Hall be looking for somebody like Carson McClellan or Kevin King maybe, but not in the near future in this pack right here. He goes up high. Now the 18 and 81 hook back up together on that inside line. The Virtual Performance Racing teammates on the inside is Robert Hall in the Sim Chassis 30 going for the lead with Drill Aisle Steve Sheehan behind him.
Yeah, a little bit of swapperoo there, switcheroo, whatever you want to call it, as Hall has kind of worked his way to the front of the line, and he's been kind of a sleeper here. We haven't talked a lot about him, but he's been somebody that has come up a few times in some of our talks off the air, that he might be somebody that, could be a threat for the championship, or at the very least a win here at Daytona in that Sim Chassis machine out of Hampton, Georgia. So Robert Hall making his presence felt, as is the guy in front of him. That's Brad Davies in the 11 show, and it wasn't just too long ago. Davies was right inside of Ray Alfalo when he got swept into that wreck. So Davies might be feeling kind of lucky here tonight. Been a while since we've really seen him anywhere on the sim racing trail. He was back in Niswick last year and really used to be a major standout. And I think maybe that flame has been rekindled, as here he is inside the top 5 at Daytona.
Brad Davies, he's one of the hard chargers in this field right now. Davies right now has picked up 13 points on the 13 position of the field. As now we go 3 wide up front with the 60 machine, the 18 and the 11, all trying to challenge, with the 60 all by himself way up high. So Jason Garlavich, nowhere to go, no one to follow him to make it 3 wide through 1 and 2. He's going to be forced to fall back in line, and I think he's going to think better of it next time he wants to make it go 3 wide.
Yeah, he finds Jared Crawford back there in the JDR number 83 behind Steve Sheehan in the 6. New player up in front, though, guys. Here comes the 11 of Brad Davies and the 28 of Chad Coleman. Coleman in the Hick and Jicks. Tim's Corner Motorsports, JDR Graphics, Ford Fusion looking at second place and looking at the lead in front of him of the Gary Mercer Trucking. 81 of Adam Gilliland. Matt Witten to the high side as they go side by side through corners number 1 and 2. We are working lap 18 of 100.
They're clicking off quickly, Tim, as they will when you're turning laps around this place. Sub 45 seconds. 44 and 43-second laps in some cases for these cars. They are hauling them out. Finally, Matt Witten gets back to the front. I was just getting ready to make the point, Joe, that Gilliland has done a great job working the bottom, as you see him there just ahead of the 60 that you're riding on board with Jason Karlavich. But Gilliland's done a great job of working the draft up front and being able to stay as the lead car. Now he's in a different spot behind Matt Witten, kind of where he was when we started this race with Witten on the pole. And, that might work for a while, and I think maybe Gilliland could have learned something out front of the field and behind Witten. We'll see how it all plays out. And something else I've also noticed, Joe, unlike kind of like the shootout last week, you see these 15 cars or so at the front of the field double file. Everybody else is just kind of making laps further back off the lead pack right now.
Everyone's just going to be taking their time, being very patient in this field. As you see, the rear bumper of the 11 machine now, if you're riding along with Brad Davies, getting the push from Jason Karlavich. Everyone's taking their time. Everyone's being very patient. I think in the shootout last week, we learned what these cars are capable of doing, what you can and can't do, and how hard you can push these cars. With that knowledge last week, these guys are really just starting to let them work itself out, let these cars set the pace for themselves, and ultimately are gonna really let these cars dictate the pace of the rest of the race.
As we run down the back straightaway, 20 laps on the board. As Joe mentioned it, everybody trying to find a place to race right now, and it's looking fairly calm compared to what it was, let's say, 2 laps ago, as the top 2 have broken away a little bit. Looks like a switch up in front, as here comes Adam Gilliland and Matt Witten, as they will be dead even at the line. Gilliland in the number 81 going to the outside, and this is going to let the field all catch up again.
It is, Tim. They're going to be able to suck right back up to the back bumper, and here comes Sheehan up top. Sheehan makes it 3 wide. They're going to try to freight train Adam Gilliland. It's not really working at the moment, because here comes Robert Hall. He'll make it 3 wide, 2 deep up front. It's a 6-way battle for the top spot, and Gilliland is going to end up, looks like, maybe prevailing in turn number 3 for the time being. And that's one thing I wanted to talk about a second ago there, Joe. You see all these different cars up front. Gilliland in the new SS, Robert Hall in the new SS. You might have seen Chad Coleman's car there in the shot as well. One of the brand new Ford Fusion Gen 6s in the field, and that's what's really cool here. Oh, hello, Chambrone. Hey, and Chambrone's got to race his way back on the lead lap. He might just do it here. But that's one of the cool things I love about this whole iRacing Gen 6 deal, Joe. You've got not only the Chevy, as we're trying to crash him up front, but you got this brand new Ford. And it looks sharp. It drives great. And it keeps things fresh here. That's one thing I love about this. And it really brings out that Ford, Chevy, manufacturer drama, even in the sim world, where they're supposedly equal. Everybody knows they've got their heart riding either with a Ford or a Chevy, and that just brings that extra element of passion back to auto racing again.
Absolutely, Tony. You mentioned that different manufacturers really do have that drama, that drama all the time in Chevy versus Ford in the sim world. And Ford's really holding its own. Right now, the 28 of Chad Coleman, the highest running Ford, currently in second. It's entirely possible, as I said at the beginning of this race, not only could you see a new driver hoist the trophy tonight, but you could see a brand new manufacturer in Ford walk away with a big win tonight.
Jeremy Allen used to be the super speedway king when it comes to the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship. He's not here. Will somebody take that crown this season? We'll find out, and it could very well be a guy like Chad Coleman. Had some tough luck last season, made it into this series through the top 25 in points, had a top 5 run at Las Vegas, but other than that, not a whole lot to write home about. Coleman looking to rewrite the history books here this evening in the Hick and Chicks Ford Fusion and trying to take away the victory as he rides along in second with Matt Whitten in front of him and series veteran Brad Davies in tow.
Yeah, I think these guys are starting to calm down a little bit. They might have got a little bit of a scare a minute ago, Tim, just when they were all over the racetrack there, and I think everybody kind of realized it's way too early to be doing all of that. We're not even a quarter of the way into this race. Lap 24 is going to be up on the scoreboard once we cross the stripe this time. And Joe, that's really very, very early in one of these races. I mean, you got 43 guys out here. You don't want to be that guy that does something stupid to really get your competitors all frustrated and upset at you.
New leader on the field at 81 of Gilliland takes the lead once again. He's going to bring with him the 60 machine of Jason Karlavich. And now up on the high side is the 32 of Paul Kashiba and Patrick Baldwin trying to make a move. 32 jumps in front of the 18. He's going to be third. And now the 60 is going to try to make a run. He's going to see if he can get around him. But he's got very little help. The 52 and the 6 need to get with him if they're going to make the run. Here they go in turns 3 and 4.
What a couple of power moves by your top 4. Patrick Baldwin now in the mix. Paul Kashiba now in the mix. The 32 car going to go to second as he pushes Adam Gilliland on the inside line as the 81 of Gilliland will lead this lap. Jason Karlavich on the outside trying to fight back. But Tony, there's some new players up in front. And speaking about up in front, it looks like they are about to encounter the 82 car of Alex Warren, who's going to go another lap down.
Well, the good news for Alex Warren, that car looks a lot better than what we saw at the last time on screen. The bad news is it's a lap behind where it needs to be. And a class act move by Alex Warren, just gets out of the way, down the apron, realizes he's nowhere near as fast as the leaders. In fact, officially being scored 7 laps down. So Warren just out there making laps, as is Ray Alfala, 43rd, 12 laps in arrears. And holy cow, Joe, it's getting real tight up here. Kashiba, Gilliland, all going at it. And Patrick Baldwin, who we haven't talked about a lot, in that Verve Energy number 52, up there trying to put his nose in the clean air and lead this race.
As you ride inside the 18 of Matt Whitten right now, you can see just how tight this racing is out there. 32 almost bought the farm and Senex, a couple cars with him out there. You just see how tight this racing is. A lot of these guys now starting to think about pit strategy coming up. These guys can run about 40 laps. 40 laps should be the max for their fuel window. We're about 20 laps away from that, and these guys have got to start thinking about when they want to pit and who they're going to pit with, because we could see some green flag pit stops in a possibility about 15 minutes here.
81 and 18 have yet to pit, so we should see them in the next dozen laps or so as Patrick Baldwin still trying to make something work on that outside line. But guys, look who's making his way into the top 10. Thomas Lewandowski in the 16, no stranger to super speedway racing. I like that 16's chances here this evening as the 81 pokes high in the 60.
Yeah, he too, one of those drivers that started a little bit further back in the field, back in 31st officially, Tim, and he's just very slowly and methodically worked his way forward as they go by Paul Kashiba. And that number 32 begins to fall backwards. And now Gilliland up at the top of the racetrack. Looks like he's trying to find a hole to get to pit road. Maybe didn't work out for him that time, and he lost major track position, Joe. Gilliland might be in trouble here if he needs to get to pit road, because there is a huge line of cars he's going to have to find a way underneath. And he better be very careful, because get a bunch of cars buried down to 200 100 miles an hour, when you're on the brakes, that usually doesn't end very well.
New leader up front is 52 of Patrick Baldwin, getting the push from Matt Whitten now. Jason Karlavich running around in third, and I'm definitely keeping an eye on the 81 machine of Adam Gilliland. He might have a hole down there somewhere in that lower line, but if he cannot get it, and he needs to get out of traffic, he's going to be very hard-pressed. As now the 11 gets the push to the 28. 11's going to go high now, running with the back number 2, 11 of Brad Davies. He's going to have a lot of position to pick up after that misstep.
4 wide out in the back, Fayash, the 11, the 02, and Ray Alfala as they work past Alfala. Meanwhile, up in front, here comes Matt Whitten in the 18, trying to make something happen on Patrick Baldwin, as Baldwin on the inside, looking to hold the lead. The 28 and 8 and 11 were all sideways there, Tony, as there goes Chad Coleman back. The 52 now has help from the 60, the 30, and the 83 down low. Jarrett Crawford making his way back up to the front of the field. And look who we start to see now. Where did the 3 car come from? A Brandon Schmidt.
I was going to ask the exact same question. Where in the world did Schmidt come from? But guess what? He's here inside the top 10. He's not one of those drivers that started back in the field, and it just goes to show you, Joe, how much of an equalizer the draft can be, number one, and number two, how good each of these drivers are to be able to not only just kind of ride around and avoid the chaos, but to maneuver their way and drive their, whoa, hello, Schmidt, big wiggle in the middle of 1 and 2. And for that matter, that good of a driver to save a car like that, Joe, that could have been a major disaster in turns 1 and 2.
That could have been, but he's able to save it. A little too brave for Brandon Schmidt, but you got to give him a lot of credit. He's currently picked up 29 positions from the start of this race out here, so he's proven, if nothing else, to himself that he's got a car that can be competitive tonight and can run with these guys up front as he continues to run 3 wide now, trying to get around both the 11 of Davies and the 96 of Richard Doucette. He's going to be able to do it, and now he's got to figure out where he's going to run as he starts to get blocked up way on the high side.
VPR teammates to the lead as the 18 of Matt Whitten goes back to the point. The 81 of Gilliland is now up high, and guys, look at the Sim Chassis teammates now on the inside that have hooked up. 52 and 30 going to try to bring this to the front. 28 is back up here as well with the 83 just behind him as we're 3 wide above the 28. The 02 of Chambrone and the 3 of Brandon Schmidt. Guys, keep in mind the 02 of Chambrone, he's going to race his way back onto the lead lap in order to get that lap back.
Yeah, Tim, remember he had that penalty, like you said, at the beginning of the race that he's not going to be able to earn back via the free pass. He can do it with the wave around or by doing it this way, driving his way back on the lead lap in front of the leaders. And it's really a shame if you're Alex Chambrone, Joe, because now you know how good that race car is. The problem is you're 2.5 miles behind where you need to be.
But the good news for Chambrone is if he can get up front, if he can get around your leaders and potentially get that wave around during a yellow flag, or even try to pick it up as a matter of pit strategy, Chambrone is showing that he's got a car that can compete. As you see him now dive to the low side, he's going to, if he were on the lead lap, he'd be scored about 6 or 7 right now. Let's run a loop cam of the 32 machine. And you see that great picture down there in high definition. The 32 machine going high, and you see the 3 wide right in front of him. Now he's got to decide which line he's going to take and why. Almost 4 wide as we go to 1-2.
The bomb is ticking. It's just waiting to go off somewhere here as the 30 and the 3 had the 81 down low. The 30 trying to go down low now. Here comes the 6 of Sheehan through the middle. The 28 of Chad Coleman and the 11 of Brad Davies working together again as they try to bring it back to the front of the field. Meanwhile, up in front, here comes Jarrett Crawford to the outside with Jason Karlavich and Pat Baldwin. Chambrone to the back bumper of the 18 of Whitten, the 81 of Gilliland there as well. It looks like a couple of 3-car tandems working their way at a corner number 4 and through the tri-oval. Who's it going to be at the line? Jarrett Crawford can lead his first lap at Daytona.
And a great job by Crawford to drive his way through the field. Tim, now he's going to try. Oh, yes. He'll get in front of Matt Whitten on the bottom. That'll leave Karlavich in the middle. Baldwin up by himself against the outside wall, but there'll be a hole right there behind Steve Sheehan and ahead of Paul Kashiba to fall in line for Patrick Baldwin. So Baldwin's still up there in this lead draft, and I think a lot of these guys, Tim, and for that matter, I think even the guys in the back are starting to play around a little bit, Joe. They're starting to see what their car can do out front. They're starting to see what their car does in the middle, up top, how well it can suck up, how well it can pass people by itself with a slingshot. It's time to really start playing around. You don't want to show everything you've got yet, but I think maybe some of these guys are realizing this race might go green for a while, and they really need to know what they have before it comes time for the money stop towards the end of the race.
Steve Sheehan giving the push to Jason Karlavich to get up front. He's going to get hung to dry as Karlavich defects to the low line. It's going to be Crawford and the 18 of Witten giving him the push down low. So now you talk about that right there, Tony, about what these cars have and what they're able to do out there and how they're able to run. You're seeing it right here. You're seeing these guys really test out both lines, seeing where their cars are, and seeing where they're going to be able to run for the rest of this race. The better they can run, the better they know their lines, the better they're going to be able to cut through traffic and get up front. A couple cars now need to start looking towards pit road. Those are the guys that did not pit during the first yellow flag.
Yeah, that's Matt Witten and Adam Gilliland. They didn't pit during the last caution flag, and they're going to be looking to pit here within the next couple of laps. The rest of the field pitted on that yellow flag we had on lap 6, and those guys will be able to go 6 or 7 laps longer than the 2 guys up front.
Tony, you've done this before on this sim, going down from 200 miles an hour down to that 55 miles an hour for pit road speed. It is easier said than done. You don't want to flat spot your tires. You don't want to spin out coming down onto pit road either, as these guys, I believe, are starting to set up as you see the 81 come back down to the inside. The 18 is on the inside up in front.
Whoa!
Meanwhile, it's Karlavich leading this field.
And behind him, you just about saw the 3 machine of Schmidt get into Baldwin and buy the farm. Unfortunately, the deed transaction did not go through, so we're still rolling. But yeah, Tim, like you said, it's very hard. And one of the things that iRacing has done to make it even more difficult is a great thing. They've added the drivetrain physics and all the flexing of the drivetrain here in these Gen 6 cars and a lot of the other cars in the service that makes it that much harder to get back down through the gears, to try to keep the car from wheel hopping, to try to find yourself on the brakes without burning them up to get down to pit road speed. It's a very intense situation. It replicates the feeling of being in a real car as best as you possibly can with given technology. They've done a fantastic job, and that's another element these drivers are going to have to focus on, Joe, when they come to pit road. And they might even have to focus with a warping race car. The number 3 of Brandon Schmidt having some electrical issues right now, and he just about gave everybody a heart attack over there a half a lap ago.
That electrical issue looks to be cleared up now. They continue to run clean as you run in car now with the number 18 machine. That's Matt Witten. You can see right in front of him, everybody positioning, everybody getting themselves in order as we're about to possibly see some green flag pit stops happen. And if it's not this lap, then the next couple laps. Not to these guys who pitted already, though. They still got about 10 laps to go before they're forced to come down pit road.
Pat Baldwin on the upside will take the lead. Steve Sheehan was out to the lead, and he cuts down in front of Alex Chambrone for a moment, guys. Chambrone was back on the lead lap, but now he ends up back on the 1 lap down side of things, and he's got to work his way to get back on the lead lap. 52 of Baldwin continues to lead, and here comes Kashiba with help from Robert Hall on the outside. The Sim Chassis teammate pushing the 32 and now trying to possibly keep him high and dry. Kashiba to lead, and now Robert Hall falls right in front of his teammate, Pat Baldwin.
There wasn't a whole lot of room there, Tim, but I guess it was just enough, and that's the advantage of having a teammate. The teammate might tap the brake pedal and give you that little bit of extra room you need to slide into line. But, Joe, if this is lap number 99 compared to lap number 40, I'm not 100% sure Pat Baldwin, or anybody for that matter, gives you that extra 3 inches you need to slide into line. And it's starting to very slowly pick up as far as the temperature and the tempo goes here up front. We see more and more drivers starting to get a little antsy as the laps wind down. I mean, we're not even halfway yet, but they know it's starting to quickly tick away.
It's starting to quickly tick away in a hurry as you see Robert Hall and Patrick Baldwin get around Kashiba as if he were standing still. And then look who's still up front with him. The number 6 of Steve Sheehan continues to run. Let's run the Declan real quick. And you see Jared Crawford right behind him. And behind him, Thomas Lewandowski giving them the push. The high line does not seem to be the fastest line right this moment. But give it a little bit of time, give it a couple adjustments, and give it some brand new tires. And I think these guys are positioning themselves to run the high line later in this race. And that positioning that you're seeing right here could be the major difference later in the race. 77 looks like he has some electrical problems. That's Andrew Bayash. And he's back in line though, and he's going to continue to run as they pass the number 2 of Ray Alfalo once again.
Beautiful switch up in front between the Sim Chassis mates, the 52, and Pat Baldwin now leads, but here comes that 6 car of Steve Sheehan to the outside line with Crawford in tow, but it's going to be Sim Chassis down low, 52 and 30, going to lead this field around. The Verb, number 52, is your leader. And Tony, when we talk about teams in sim racing, Sim Chassis last season really defined the technology. They really got on the leading edge of it, and it showed with Kevin King, Pat Baldwin, Robert Hall. Those guys racked up a lot of solid finishes.
They did, Tim, and that's what it takes a lot of times, is to have the ability to crack what it takes to make one of these race cars fast. Now, mind you, that was the old Gen 5 car. This Gen 6 car takes something completely different. And most of these guys have had very, very little time to figure it out. They've been so focused on Daytona, Joe, that I almost think the intermediate tracks, as we go on further down the line, and the short tracks for that matter, I don't want to say they're going to suffer, but they were kind of an afterthought almost, because everybody was worried about this season opener in Daytona with very little time spent anywhere else.
One of those guys that was concerned about it, but it seemed to have figured it out, is a driver of that Mud Jug Chevy, the 14 of John Adams. He's currently running 14th, and he's picked up several positions out here on field. Adams was one of the drivers. He was 10th in points last season. He was one of the drivers that led a lap in the shootout last week. So John Adams certainly back in the field right now, but not forgotten. We've seen a lot of guys come through traffic to ultimately win this race, and right now that could be what he's doing. Just kind of sitting back, watching everybody else go and see where everyone else is going to line. They're going to run in line, and he's going to make his way ultimately through this field. We run on the roof right now on that Mud Jugs machine.
The Mud Jug Portable Spittoons, number 84 of John Adams, trying to make his way back out to the front. Former winner in this series, looking to pick up a big win here this evening at Daytona. Meanwhile, up in front, Paul Kashiba now leads with the 6 of Sheehan in second. Here comes the Sim Chassis drivers, Pat Baldwin and Robert Hall to the inside, and look at Thomas Lewandowski. Top 5 run coming up, and Andrew Fayash the third just behind him as well. Andrew Fayash barely squeaked into this series, the final driver to transfer through the 2012 Pro Series, looking to make a big splash here and start this season on a high note.
Tim, he didn't just barely transfer into the series, he barely got into the race. It was 3 1,000ths of a second between him making the race and going home, and now here he is inside the top 10. Great run for Fayash right now, and Fayash, one of those guys that he's got a little bit of experience outside the virtual car as well. The problem is it's not gambling with the race car, it's gambling. Strangely enough, Joe, his day job is he works at Mohegan Sun. He's a dealer. So if you go to the Mohegan Sun anytime soon up in Pennsylvania, you might run into Andrew Fayash III and not even realize it.
But that's kind of the fun thing about iRacing, too. It is every man's sport. Anybody from any walk of life can work their way through the field, can ultimately work their way up. It's a 3 now, pushes the 8 up in line. Anybody can come from any walk of life and ultimately win a NASCAR championship. The one I'm watching right now, who could be one of those champions, is Steve Sheehan. He was running way up front. He took the high line, let a lot of traffic get around him, and now he's running back to the field. Might be some problems for Steve Sheehan, or he might be looking for some pit stops.
Daytona shootout winner coming to the front of the field in Tyler Hudson. I believe some of these drivers are going to come down onto pit road this time by the 6 of Steve Sheehan. Expect him down, and here they come down onto pit road, as some of those guys threw a little bit of it looked like they were going to come down, Tony, and they did not.
I think a couple people thought about it, Tim, but really this is no surprise. Steve Sheehan, Adam Gilliland, and the number 18 machine of your pole sitter, Matt Whitten, all the attention of their crew. 55 miles per hour down to their pit stalls, and this is a long time for these guys because there is a lot on the line. It's going to be left side tires only for these guys. Left side's only in a full tank of Sunoco Virtual Racing fuel, waiting on that fuel to fill up, and it will be Gilliland and Whitten down and away together just as they came in. There goes Sheehan out ahead of them as well, so they'll come in together and come out together. Now they only have to pray that they do not go a lap down, number 1, number 2, that the caution falls, if it does fall, in a place that it benefits them.
One of Tyler Hudson now up to 4th, and I want to take a minute to talk about Sheehan real quick. He only took gas only for the second time tonight. It's a very interesting move on his part as shootout winner Hudson, now up to 4th, continues to run on that high line. He's going to probably try to take advantage of some pit stops here and try to at least get the bonus point for leading a lap. He's giving the push now to that number 32 machine, to Paul Kashiba. Kashiba not going to lead the lap this time, as Baldwin and the 30 machine just too strong. Robert Hall driving the 30 machine too strong on the low line. They will continue to lead this race. 0-1 Hudson defects, leaves the 32 high and dry.
Hudson going to leave that 32 out to dry as the Sim Chassis teammates need to switch up in front. It moves the 52 up high, 30 down low, and now he has help from the 01 of Tyler Hudson. 30 going to try to go up on the 52 as it's going to get hairy here, boys. 01 and 30 side by side, and Patrick Baldwin almost gets the wall through that exchange.
Baldwin almost looked like backed off because he didn't like what that was feeling like, and now he's going to pay for it. Your shootout winner from last Tuesday night, Tyler Hudson out of Pearl, Mississippi, that Ada sign wraps Ford. He has gone from almost a 0 in the running order up to a hero. Very quietly, he's made his way forward, and now he leads for the first time in official sanctioned NASCAR competition here at the Daytona International Speedway this season. So Hudson up to the point making his presence felt, Joe. He might be the banner carrier for the Ford Brigade this year. Diehard Ford man, always has been, and maybe Hudson now, who, you talk about those ways of life that people have, Joe, and how anybody can make it. This is a kid that survived leukemia twice when he was a kid, and now he's grown to have his own business and be a NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship driver. It's amazing, all the stories through this field and how, and really all the 40,000 members of iRacing each have their own unique story, but we highlight each one of them here in the World Championship Series.
Tyler Hudson, a champion in life, and hoping to be your next NASCAR on iRacing.com Series World Champion driver. Wants to be their next champion anyway, and he's going to continue to live that dream as he drives up front, pushed by the 32, the 02 of Chambrone, and the 83 of Jared Crawford. He rode on board with him right now. You see right there how tight that traffic is. The 02 right in front of him, the 26 of Chad Lawton, not a car length away. So these pack guys continue to run a tight pack. They continue to run in that freight train, and if they continue this draft, they can continue to run in speeds in excess of 200 miles per hour. Not somewhere you want to make a mistake.
30 to the outside with Tom Lewandowski in tow. Andrew Fayash III just behind him. And Joe mentioned one name we haven't talked about a whole lot this evening, your 2012 Pro Champ of Chad Lawton, the DHL Tim's Corner Motorsports, number 26, beginning to put his way to the front of the field. He has Brad Davies now in front of him, as just behind him Rich Doucette is trying to come up through the field as well, as I believe Tony Stevens, we are getting ready to see a whole host of these guys down on pit road on lap 52.
Brad Davies has to hand out the window, so does Kevin King, Sean Gorlinski, and they'll bypass the pit road entrance, so maybe they'll be pitting next time around. They couldn't quite get their ducks in a row, as it looks like a couple of guys towards the back of the pack are coming down pit road, including the 12 machine, who was involved in that incident that brought out the only caution flag of the night, Joe.
89, Landon Harrison down on pit road. Also going down pit road, the 31 of Matt Busa, or the 34 Matt Busa, I should say. The 91 of Josh Berry coming down pit road. Joey Brown, number 12 machine, just coming out of his box. 2 tires stop at the 12, and they're down the way. Now here comes Kevin King, the 29 machine. He's going to lead John Gorlinski down. Kevin King coming down as well. Marcus Lindsay coming down. Carson McClellan all coming down. The attention of their crews, probably looking for 2 tires and fuel all the way around.
Here comes half the field on the pit road as they have to get it down to 55. Lewandowski and Hall nearly make contact coming on the pit road as Lewandowski gets to his box here first out of this group that just came down, and it looks like it could be right side tires up for the Lewandowski car. Byron Daly has right sides up. Robert Hall on the pit road. Brad Davies also down as well. Marcus Lindsay leaving pit road. Carson McClellan, Kevin King, and John Gorlinski among them heading off pit road.
And pretty much everybody taking 2 tires and splashing fuel now on pit road. The 05, Nick Ottinger, the 92 of Casey Malone. Michael Johnson, the 39 machine, also on pit road this time around. And the 0-1, Tyler Hudson, will come down pit road. He's going to lead a litany of cars with him as well. The 32, the 83 and company, all coming down pit road now.
01, 32, 83 coming down to their box as Tyler Hudson, your former leader and shootout winner from last week, stops in his box. It's going to be fuel for the 8 assigned wrap 01. Right side tires also going up. Behind him, the DHL number 26 of Chad Lawton also getting service to his race car. In front of him, Brandon Cattell also in the box. Hudson down and away, and look at Kashiba. Shot out of a cannon. Kashiba, what a great stop for the 32.
Paul Kashiba gets a big run off pit road, and he's got a great spot. Now you're up to 77. He made contact trying to come down pit road. That's Andrew Fayash, the third. He had some problems coming off pit road, or coming down pit road. He made some contact, got a little bit damage on the 77 machine. So next time around, they're probably going to be looking to repair that nose a little bit and get them back into speed. 84 and 86 now coming down pit road.
Last time by, it was Rich Doucette scored as your leader. He is now down on pit road, as is John Adams in the number 84 car. Danny Hansen and Carson Downs also down on pit road. The J-Show teammates also completing their pit work as we complete green flag pit stops here on lap number 57.
The 81 Adam Gilliland get a big bump for Brad Davies in the 11 machine. Got a little sideways out there, but continue. Now lap traffic up ahead as you run on the roof cam of the 11 of Brad Davies. These guys just passing these guys down low as if they were standing still. Now here we go. The 81 and 11 finally in clear air. Adam Gilliland up front. Brad Davies in second. Paul Kashiba, Jared Crawford behind them. Matt Whitten still in that group, and look who's also joined them. Tyler Hudson, currently in 11th. He's running on. He's going to try to make some magic happen as he runs high with the 18.
This should cycle through your green flag pit stops. The 81 out in front with the 11 of Brad Davies in position number 2. As we'll see who is cycled where here. Paul Kashiba, Jared Crawford, as here comes the field on Josh Lawton to put Lawton one lap down, as we'll go 3 wide back here with some of these drivers as the 60, 26 nearly get into contact. Oh boy, they're stacking up in corner number 2. I don't know how they got through that, Tony.
Yeah, I didn't quite see what happened there, Tim, but they got all shuffled up out of turn number 2. Everybody has continued on without any sort of major damage. Although, well, I say major damage. Look at Jason Karlavich's car, Joe. And that Obuto Gaming Cockpits machine has some damage to the rear fascia of that car. I don't know if it's going to hurt him. If it might hurt him, it might not hurt him at all. But Karlavich now does show some damage on the Obuto car, so not good news if you're Jason Karlavich right now.
Not good news at all, because it does affect the aerodynamics of that machine. It affects that ability to keep up with them. And, we'll have to see exactly how it's going to affect them or not. Karlavich continues to run in traffic out there. He continues to run now on the bumper of the DHL machine of Chad Lawton. Now, let's run on the roof cam of 02 machine. That's Alex Chambreau. You can see the damage really articulated there. It looks like it's right in that left rear area that he has that damage. It could affect him. It could not. In any event, we'll have to see just how much it will affect him and how much damage he's going to have to get repaired when he comes back around.
And that little moment separated these 2 packs up in front. It's now your top 9 and really the rest of the field all the way back to about 20th place or so there, as Adam Gilliland leads this field with Matt Whitten in a second. They will gobble up Marcus Lindsay, 11 and 01 to the outside line, 32 and 60, or check that, 83 to the inside as the 16 of Thomas Lewandowski also coming through. Little switch there with the 11 and 01.
As you watch Davies and Hudson and this whole group, right at the very tail of this group's a guy that really has kind of had some pretty blah luck so far today. That's the number 93 of Byron Daly. Daly originally out of New York City, New York, now making his home in Charlotte, North Carolina. Sponsored by Parker Kligerman and ParkerKligerman.com. And if you listen to Parker, a lot of other things NASCAR wouldn't allow on the race car. But he was very, very fast and very good in the shootout last week. Kind of got the car killed in a late race wreck, but he's always been very, very fast, and he's always been a threat pretty much anytime anybody comes to an iRacing event. In fact, he finished 8th in the points last season, but right now he's being shown back in about, the 38th spot right now, Joe. Not the night that Byron Daly wanted, but nonetheless, you know what? It's a long season, and race number 1, he's got a long way to climb out of this hole.
But it is a long season, and it's not how many you win, it's how consistent you are that wins championships. This is for the show, but it's having a long run, a consistent season that ultimately gives you the championship. Lead change up in the front now. The 18 of Matt Whitten gets in front of the 81, and now the 32 and 83 got a big run down low. The 32 leaves the 18 behind. That was supposed to be an easy lead change for your leaders. Paul Kashiba, however, is going to make sure it's not, and he will take away the lead effortlessly. Also in that group, Jared Crawford now in second. Tyler Hudson will work his way up to third with the help of Thomas Lewandowski.
And how about this number 32 car, guys, of Paul Kashiba? Kashiba is going to go back up to the top of the scoring pylon here. And Tony Kashiba is one of those drivers that runs well, but just can't really close the deal, as it's getting antsy back here in this second pack. I caught it out of the corner of my eye. Joey Brown, I believe, is down on the apron, going down into corner number 1, and Joey Brown is trying to save this race car.
Yeah, he's doing the hospital wobble on the apron, but he hung on to it. Good job by Joey Brown, that unique signs and designs machine, to be able to hold on to it. But he was involved in that only caution we had over in turns 1 and 2. Kind of got swept up into it, and you see the damage and what's left of that 12 car. But great job on his part by holding on to it. And Tim, you talked about spreading the field out and getting antsy. Everybody back in that second pack, they've gotten single file. And Joe, I don't know if they can catch the guys up front, but they are going to try. The only problem is they've only got 36 laps or so to do it.
Whitten Gilliland up front, still first and second. Gilliland gets around Whitten. And now let's run along the rear deck of the 83 machine. That's Jared Crawford. You can see just how, as we go back live now, you can see just how close those two are, the 83 and the 01. You can see just how hard they're pushing each other to try to catch up to the 18 and the 81 and get back up front. They know time is running out. 64 laps being scored right this moment. Time is very much running out. If you want to make a move, you got to start thinking about when and how to do it.
Paul Kashiba down pit road, and he's going to have to woe it down. That's going to be a black flag from the officials, guys, as he comes down to the attention of his crew, and he's going to stop in the box. I believe that will be a black flag penalty for that driver. The one thing I'm seeing up here, guys, is we're seeing a lot of teammates start to team out up. The 81 and 18 are teammates. 83 and 01 teammates as well. 16, 11 from Drill Aisle. And then you have the 52 and 30. So up in front, out of those top 8 cars, you have 4 sets of teammates.
And Tim, that's what you need sometimes in a race like this, where you have to have a partner. Yeah, we've been running in packs for most of this race, but as we've seen, green flag pit stops have really spread everybody out, and luckily everybody here has a teammate to kind of race with, and the good news for them is that if this race continues on, they'll probably settle it amongst themselves. The only problem is, Joe, how do you tell your teammate that it's more important for you to win the race than him?
Paul Kashiba, who did come down pit road, we saw a minute ago, black flag's irrelevant for him because he blew his motor coming into turns 3 and 4. So he is your first retiree of the evening due to that engine going away. So Kashiba now is out for the race, and his teammates have got to start to be worried out there. If it could happen to him, who's going to be the next one to go out?
And looking back here at this second pack, these guys are starting to get at it. We might need to get picture-in-picture up here as the 84 of John Adams is pushing the 40 of Josh Lawton. Lawton not on the same lap as these drivers in this pack, but Adams looking to make some noise back here as it's Chad Lawton on the inside, the 77 of Andrew Fayash on the inside as well. This is the battle for what would be 9th place on back, as Josh Lawton goes up to the outside. Keep in mind, not on the same lap as these leaders. John Adams looking to take 9th.
As you watch the second pack, it is gargantuan, guys. You've got Lawton in the 26, Adams in that 84 machine. There's the 40 of Josh Lawton, who we haven't really talked about a lot, really at all tonight. Another member of Wheelman Inc., along with John Adams in the 84. So bunch of teammates back here starting to try to get things rolling. The only problem is, Joe, there are so many cars here, it's hard to get them all in single file. You get a little bit of the accordion effect as everybody kind of bounces back and forth off of each other, and when you're not single file, guess what? Generally that means you're losing time to the lead group. These guys are about 5 seconds behind your lead, 6 or 8 cars or so. So they've got a big gap to make up, and running 3 wide like this isn't going to cut it. Adams hung out by his lonesome up top.
Adams had nowhere to go after getting that big shove out of line, and so now these guys continue the infighting. And if you're that top 6 group, if you're Gilliland and Witten, this is exactly what you want to see behind you. The more they fight back and forth between each other, the more that they battle around for position back here, the more aerodynamic drag, the more according effect, as you say, Tony, you see among this group, and they're not going to be able to catch up to those top 6. So this is exactly what the top 6 want. They're saying, keep fighting, guys. Keep making it work. We want to see you guys do that so we can continue to lead and not have to worry about fighting you guys for the win.
Rich Doucette hangs a 93 out to dry, 96 down to the 40 of Josh Lawton. Those two are teammates. The 26 include him in the mix as well. 3 Wheelman Incorporated teammates. Andrew Fayash III on the inside as well. The 93 of Byron Daly there. Caution will fly on the speedway for the second time this evening.
Steve Sheehan aced the concrete here at Daytona, and it looks like the sponsor me number 6 Chevrolet, he and Landon Harrison got into it. Harrison came back up the racetrack when they were trying to bump draft, and Sheehan caught the wall hard. It looks like his day is going to be done in his number 6 Chevy SS. Tough break for Steve Sheehan, Joe. We talked about him having a great run earlier, and he just sort of fell down through after pit stops. It didn't work out for him, and the good news for everybody else is they get a chance to maybe make those final adjustments, and for that second pack, they can catch up, and it is going to be a less than 30-lap sprint to the finish. This is going to be no holds barred.
Second caution flag of the night comes out on lap 69, and this is actually a boon for everybody else out here. They are in the window for that very last pit stop, so as soon as they come back around, you're going to see everybody come down here for pit stops. They're all going to get gas. You'll see at least some tires out here, but the big thing is this is it. This is going to be the last pit stop, and whatever you do in this last pit stop could really affect the complexion for the rest of your individual race.
A lot of damage to Steve Sheehan's car down here on pit road. 8 minutes of damage it's going to take this crew to fix his car, so about 8 minutes, and that cost a lot of laps for the 2 car earlier in this race, so Steve Sheehan's race effectively done.
Former multi-time winner in this series will have to rebound next week at Las Vegas. And guys, keep in mind we say next week at Las Vegas. This series usually goes once every 2 weeks, with the season being delayed because of the brand new car. We have a couple of back-to-back weeks in this series, including the first 2 races of the season. We remind you to tune in next week, same time, same place, Las Vegas Motor Speedway for round number 2. This will be the final pit stop of the evening. Should we go green the rest of the way, and track position's fairly key, this might very well be our final pit stop of round number 1. Matt Witten, Adam Gilliland have dominated this race so far this evening, and here they come, and we might see a lot of these cars stay out. Oh boy.
Tim, when you're the leader, you're always the sitting duck, and I think maybe that was the mistake they just made. Matt Witten and Adam Gilliland, they did not want to see that happen. And we were going to ask the question, can you make it the rest of the way on fuel? And them, apparently those teams didn't think they can make it the rest of the way, or did they just get snookered?
Yeah, according to our calculations, Adam Gilliland and Matt Witten had to pit again because they pitted too early to be able to make it to the end. But with the help of the first caution flag, all the guys that pitted then were able to just get into that pit window where they could make it again. This caution will definitely help them make it to the end of the race. So everybody stayed out. They're okay on fuel.
So this changes the complexion of the race entirely for your 2 leaders out front. To those guys that were running so hard up front, this is really going to change your race entirely. And if you're Jerry Crawford and Tyler Hudson, this really changes it for you, because now you've got a very realistic shot at not only winning and not only leading this race, but ultimately winning this race. And for Tyler Hudson, it could be big for him, it could be big for Ford, and really put him on the fast track to winning his first NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship.
28.5 laps to go. We step away here for just a few moments' time. Short break. We'll bring you back to the finish of round number 1 of the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship at Daytona. Welcome back to the Daytona International Speedway, working lap 73 of 100 on round number 1 of the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship from the Daytona International Speedway. Tim Terry, Tony Stevens, Joe Cortez, and Nim Cross here to call all the action for you. We're about a lap and a half or so, or a lap and a little bit from going back to green flag racing. Now, we talk about this iRacing simulation and the plethora of cars and tracks that are used in this sim. We talked to Tony Gardner before we came on air, and the president sometimes has loose lips, let's put it that way.
Yes, he does.
And Tony, I know it's one thing that you and me love. It's the short track racing. We grew up on short track racing, and the one thing that's coming to the simulation that's been talked about for a very long time, and you heard it here first on PSR TV, iRacing Live, and the Motor Racing Network. We have a late model. They have a scheduled scanning session for a super late model. So we are getting, in the near future, a super late model. And I grew up with the Pro All-Star Series, Tony, Pro All-Star Series South down there, so many other series that run a super late model type race car. I can't wait for that. It'll be coming up, I'm sure, within the next few months. And it adds to the late model. If you like late models, if you're not familiar with a short track car, late model, think a little more power, it's going to be exciting.
Absolutely, Tim. And to kind of distinguish, and it's real confusing, I understand, because there are 100 different racetracks around, more than 100. There are hundreds of tracks that have a quote-unquote late model. The car iRacing modeled originally was very similar to what's called a NASCAR late model stock car. Kind of like you might have seen at the Battle of the Beach on Speed back in February. That type of race car is what it was modeled after. A super late model is about 300 to 400 pounds less with about 200 to 250 more horsepower. It's offset with more left side weight, and they are fun as the devil to drive. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a ball. As much as I love my late model stocks and working with the NASCAR Wheel and All-American Series and the UARA Stars, with those cars, super late model racing is going to be fun. Probably 70% of the NASCAR sanctioned tracks anywhere in the country, Tim, that's what they run, are super late models as one of their premier divisions. And Joe, it's going to be fun.
It's going to be a lot of fun watching the new super late models. You know, we all grew up with that, with those racing, with that, all that kind of stuff, so we'll have to see exactly how that comes to play. Meanwhile, back up front, Jared Crawford takes the green flag, jams them up a little bit, and now the race begins on lap 75 of 126 left to go. Crawford getting the push from Lewandowski. He will get a big jump on the 0-1 of Tyler Hudson.
26 laps to go as Jared Crawford leads his field with Tom Lewandowski in tow. The 01 and 11, two veterans of sim racing, Hudson and Davies on the outside with Robert Hall and Rich Doucette working his way on the inside. What a story it would be if Rich Doucette can win this race in his first ever start in the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship. Crawford, same deal as he gets pushed from Thomas Lewandowski to the lead.
To the lead for the number 83, and that's a great spot to be in, especially at this point in the race, Joe. Things are starting to pick up, and this is when you take those chances that you didn't take 50 or 60 laps ago, because you know you might not be presented with those same opportunities again. You're right on board with Doucette and his number 96 JDR graphics machine as they work off of turn number 4. Doucette kind of stuck in a little bit of a box down there on the bottom behind Robert Hall with Alex Shrek. Check that Patrick Baldwin alongside. When you look ahead, you see Tyler Hudson and Brad Davies trying to make it work up top. Oh, and Hudson just dumped Brad Davies by himself. Didn't punt him, just kind of left him out for naught. Now, here's an interesting scenario, Joe. You have teammates running first and third at the moment with the 83 and the 01. Does the 83 ditch his drafting mate Lewandowski at some point?
It's entirely possible, and anything's possible at this point as Crawford and Lewandowski continue to lead up front. Highline is almost dissolved as the 11 of Davies and the 2 of Baldwin just run by themselves. And here it is, Tony. You just saw the dump right there, 0-1.
Oh!
Hudson leaves his partner behind. 83 goes way high. New leader this time around will be Tyler Hudson if he can hold on to the lead.
Jarrett Crawford falls back 3 wide as they continue to work through Daytona's 3 and 4. Thomas Lewandowski going to come out with the lead here. Hudson to the inside line. He slices in front of Brandon Cattell as Brandon Cattell pushes the 0-1, 30 and 16. Thomas Lewandowski leads that lap as we're 3 wide, stacked about 3 deep for about 6th on back.
And Tim, as we said, the tempo's picking up. The intensity is increasing. Things are getting crazier here at Daytona for the win of the season opening race of the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship. Here goes Brad Davies. He's got help from your pole sitter, Matt Whitten. It's Davies to the point, the Florida native up front at his home racetrack for the first time here tonight.
Don't know if it'll last in the line, though, as number 18 continues to run out there. The 18 who was your pole sitter, that's Matt Whitten, continues to run, and he might take it away this time around at the stripe. The 18 picks up the lead over the 11 of Davies, and look who's also running in this group. The number 84 of John Adams, now running strong in this group. He is 12th, running that high line. How much longer before he starts making his move?
11 and 16 on the inside is Lewandowski sliding down through the infield as he gets it going again. A huge save for Lewandowski, but he's going to lose about 25 spots here.
Don't know exactly what happened there, Tim. That was rather odd of Lewandowski to be able to kind of slide out by himself, almost on the front, almost on the straightaway, but either way, he held on to it. Great piece of driving by Lewandowski to not only not lose it, but not come back up in front of traffic to where it posed a hazard. But that might, Joe, end Thomas Lewandowski's night. He still has 20 laps to get back to the front, but that's going to be a long way to go. That's almost a position a lap for Lewandowski. Not impossible, but it's going to be difficult.
The number 18 of Whitten now having some trouble. He might have gotten the push from Gilliland in the 81 machine. Now it's going to be a 2-machine race down the backstretch into 3 and 4. 18 on the high side, 81 on the low side, and the high side seems to have the advantage. Will Whitten be able to hold on to that advantage, or will the 81 of Gilliland continue to pull through? Gilliland about at the car length on the 18, and Gilliland looks like he's going to apply to play both lines and hold on to the lead.
Yeah, the field had to hold their breath there as the 18 and 52 had a moment on that outside line as we're 3 wide in the middle of the pack. And guys, we're coming up on Joey Brown in the number 12. This could make things interesting. 18 on the outside with the 52, 81 and the 11 are side by side for the lead position as they drag race down the back. Brown out of the way on the apron.
And look up in the 3rd lane, Dustin Montgomery in the 8 machine by himself up top. He's made up 5 or 6 spots in the past lap. That black and red numeral number 8 is making things happen, and now he's starting to lose a little bit of momentum, but he had it going on for a while in the top lane. Montgomery coming out of nowhere virtually, as is the guy in the 91, Joe. Josh Berry was nearly a lap down. Oh, here goes John Adams for a ride. Adams got hip checked by the 39. He saved it. We'll continue on.
Adams makes a big save, but that might be the end of his night. He's got a long way to climb back up the ladder. 3 wide in plenty of places in the back, towards the back of the field. Number 8 continuing to run 3 wide. The 96 and 37 running that very high line by themselves. So lots of 3 wide racing continuing. Everyone's starting to feel the pressure. Time is running out. 83 starting to wiggle now. He's going to debate going the high side. He's going to follow the 8, and he's got traffic behind him.
Perfectly timed moves by some of these drivers, slicing and dicing in the middle of this pack as you look at the sky cam down the front straightaway through the dogleg. 3 wide in many places in the front of this pack. Matt Whitten is your leader. The 81 of Adam Gilliland is here, but look at Dustin Montgomery on the outside with push from his teammate Jarrett Crawford. Wheelman going to the front on the outside.
Montgomery's just absolutely astounded me, Tim and Joe. Up top by himself, and finally he got help from his teammates, and now here he is. We haven't talked about him all night. Montgomery out of Paintsville, Kentucky, has a shot to win here tonight at Daytona as he works the outside lane with Jarrett Crawford. Now the middle lane seems to be the place to be as it has the run of momentum as they work off turn number 4. 17 laps to go, Joe, here at Daytona in the season opener.
3 wide, still 4 rows deep out there, led by the number 8 machine of the number 8 machine still up front out there, and these guys continue to run dangerously. Running on the rear bumper of the 81 machine. That is Gilliland. You can see 3 wide right behind him, immediately behind him. Something's going to break here, Tim. And when it does, you do not want to be behind those leaders because it could be the end of your night. Lap 84, winning at the line, 16 to go. The 18, your pole sitter, continues to lead.
This is a ticking time bomb. The 01 gets on the apron there, going down into corner number 3. Side by side, it's 3 wide stacked, 5 deep, past 4th place right now, as here comes the 8 on the outside, and it looks like a couple of guys trying to pick a lane. Adam Gilliland trying to figure out where to go in that middle groove. Here comes Dustin Montgomery, great run through the dogleg, looking at corner number 1. Who is going to lead it into corner number 1? It's going to be the 18 on the inside, the 8 on the outside, the 81 in the middle. Oh boy, we're getting exciting at a corner number 2.
Oh, there it is! The 20 gets around! Josh Berry is in it. Chad Lawton threads the deal. The 39 car, Michael Johnson, catches a piece of it. Will stay green as it's on the apron. Davies down the inside of the racetrack in turn number 3. And we are still green somehow, Joe. You knew it was coming, and it's still coming as they're 3x3 for another 4 rows deep up front. Coming to the line one more time.
Going to the line one more time, 15 to go. Gilliland is your leader, but we still got plenty of 3 wide racing up front. The 8, the 83, the 96, now the 97 continue to run high. The 86, 97 will go low. Highline's starting to fade a little bit. The 8 of Montgomery, the 83 of Crawford are going to fall back a little bit, and they're going to continue to race. Oh, the 18
here it is!
Into it. Big trouble on the backstretch. 18 involved, 30 involved, 52 involved. Caution is out for the 3rd time tonight.
Somebody drove right through that and did not get through. I'm trying to get a number on it. 05 of Ottinger drove right through thinking he was going to get through, and he does not. Your 3rd place driver from last season, Ottinger, gets involved, as many cars. Rich Doucette also involved. We have... It might be easier to say who's not involved in this, Tony, that was running in that pack. Heavy smoke from Thomas Lewandowski. He is likely done for the evening as well. There's a lot of drivers here, Tony, that their Daytona dreams just went up in smoke.
Yeah, a couple of guys got real lucky there, Tim. Jared Crawford, Brandon Cattell got through it. I think those are about the last 2 or 3 guys that got through it without getting swept up into it. John Gorlinski got through it as well, and anybody else from about 20th on back got through it without problems. But if you were in that lead pack, yes, you were pretty much swept up into it, and that's going to pose a whole new set of challenges here, Joe, because we know we're probably not done seeing cars get into each other simply because we're going to be going green with less than 10 laps to go here at Daytona.
8 cars to my count that were in that lead group were involved, and that does include Ottinger. That also includes Huffman. That includes the number 18 of your pole sitter. A lot of guys who were hot contenders, who were big contenders in this race, now going to be relegated to the back, now going to be happy to figure out what they can do to salvage this run and make it so they at least pick up enough points to be competitive this season. The complexion of the entire race has changed, and nobody more so than for Adam Gilliland, Brad Davies, and Tyler Hudson, who still continue to be your top 3.
Adam Gilliland continues to be your leader, as you mentioned, Joe. A couple of drivers decided that they will come onto pit road. Maybe some minor damage to guys like Dustin Montgomery and Carson Downs, who are heading down towards pit road. What I was going to mention, though, is Adam Gilliland has lost his teammate in Matt Whitten. Whitten is going to come down pit road. He has damage from that wreck, as does the car in front of him, Robert Hall. And I was about to mention Robert Hall and Patrick Baldwin were coming up to the front of the field. That's not going to happen anymore. Robert Hall's night is done. The 52 car of Pat Baldwin as well. He's pretty much done from this race, I believe, as well, with damage on that race car. So now we have Gilliland, Davies, Hudson, Brandon Cattell, and Jared Crawford, your top 5. And Tony, I go back to the Pro Series opener in 2012 at Daytona. Brandon Cattell was running up front for a majority of that race. Looked like he might have had at least a top 5 locked up and had some tough luck in that one. Cattell trying to avenge that and come away with possibly a top 5, maybe a podium finish, or maybe even a little bit better, try to take away this first win of the season.
Yeah, Tim, if you're anywhere on the lead lap with an intact race car right now, you have a shot at this victory. I mean, anything is possible. We've seen it already. We've seen guys drive through the field, fall back through the field, lose laps, gain laps, you name it. As long as that car's in one piece, You never know. We could take the white flag and you'd be running 15th like James Buescher did here at Daytona last year in the Nationwide Series and come out the victor because of the big win on the last lap. Anything's possible. As long as you're still on the lead lap with an intact race car, you have a shot to win. If you're further up in the running order, yeah, you've got a little bit better shot than maybe somebody further back, but I'll tell you one thing. Nothing can replicate this experience, though, because you're at Daytona in a internationally broadcast event with a shot to win to lead the points coming out of Daytona, the NASCAR.com or NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship, Joe. There's got to be a lot of nerves going through these guys as they sit at home on their computers. We've seen the webcams from Byron Daly and others here, but they just absolutely have to be sweating bullets. I mean, they've got to be soaked to the skin with their clothes and everything that's happening. The palms are just greasing those wheels right now as much as their nerves are just telling them, be calm and try to get this figured out.
Checking out the damage on some of the cars down here on pit road, it looks like Richard Doucette's just going to try to make a couple of laps under caution here, and he'll park it by the time they get the green flag. There's way too much damage on that car for him to continue. Nick Ottinger, probably about the same deal. I talked to his crew chief about how much damage they have on their car, and he just said they're done. But he's still out in the track circulating around.
Thank you, Nim. Adam Gilliland, your leader right now. Brad Davies second, Tyler Hudson third, Brandon Caddell fourth, Crawford fifth, Gorlinski, Pennant, Huffman, Schmidt, and Schoenberg rounds out your top 10. And as I look at the scoring, something really occurs to me here. A lot of these guys have picked up at least 10 positions to get up to where they're at. Hudson has picked up 16 positions to get up to third. Gorlinski, the hard charger of the race, picked up 35 positions, now in sixth. Huffman picked up 27 positions to be in 8. All these guys who are up here now, who are up front, started towards the back, were able to avoid damage, and were able to mitigate their pit strategies best to get to where they're at now, and now have a very realistic shot of winning the first race of the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship of 2013.
And we look at drivers that have never won in this series. We have a lot of them up here in the top 15. Adam Gilliland, keep in mind, was a big winner at Richmond in the Pro Series, but has never won in this series. Brad Davies has won in this series. John Gorlinski in 6th has won in this series. Let's look back here. John Adams has won in this series. Jason Karlavich has won in this series. And those are the only 4 names that I see guys in the top 20 that have won in this NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship before. So that is going to give us a pretty good chance at seeing a first-time winner. But guys like Davies, Gorlinski, John Adams, they're going to put up a fight here in these last few laps. There goes the 93 car. I believe he is the iDog. Byron Daly will get back on the lead lap, so that should put us with about 30 cars. As we have 1 lap remaining before we go back to green, we will restart this race with 10 laps to go. And Tony, a lot of these guys that graduated from the Pro Series, I'm counting at least half of the top 10 that graduated through the 2012 NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series. You got one of them starting on the pole here.
Absolutely, and that is Adam Gilliland. And that's one of the things I love about iRacing, Tim, is the fact it is open to everybody. I mean, you got 40,000 plus members here, but the very fact that you've got guys that move up in real life from street stocks to super late models to the K&N Pro Series to the trucks nationwide, so on and so forth. You do the same thing here with iRacing. That's what's so great about it. It really doesn't take a lot of funding like it does, say, at some of those real levels. So it's really all about talent here. It's not always about the marketing. It's all about talent, and it's great. And it makes it so fun, the structure that's here. And you know that when you race the NISWIC, the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship, it is against the best 43 or 50 drivers technically were qualified that you'll compete against. And, you know, it's awesome, Tim. I love it. And, Joe, as always, iRacing right now with specials, you know, if for whatever reason somebody might be new to this deal, you can get 3 months for 50% off right now. It's a great deal. You can get started. And you never know, Joe. In a year and a half, it could be you sitting here. Well, maybe not you, but, you know, somebody else sitting here getting ready to have a shot to win at Daytona.
Thanks, Tony. I appreciate that.
That's what I'm here
Anybody
for.
can race. All you need is a reel from any electronic retailer, and you're ready to go iRacing. iRacing.com, the site. Tell them Joe, Tony, and Tim sent you, and they'll take good care of you. About to go back to Green Flag Racing. Adam Gilliland will lead him down. Brad Davies second. Tyler Hudson could be the first Ford to win an iRacing.com Series World Championship race. Green flag flies. Here comes Gilliland.
And here comes Tyler Hudson in tow, the 11 on the outside of Brad Davies. 83 of Jarrett Crawford has some work to do, needs to find a teammate, needs to find at least a dancing partner to put himself through. He's going to have John Gorlinski fall in behind him. Gorlinski and the 11 of Davies are teammates. Look for them to try to hook up here late in the race. And look at the 01 and 83. They're teammates as well. The 81 has lost his for the time being. Adam Gilliland playing the Pied Piper up in front, trying to win this race for himself. Lap 91 down the back straightaway.
But look at that run that Davies and Cattell have up top. They are making hay, but it's going to run out of steam as they work into turn 3. The three-way freight train of Gilliland, Hudson, and Crawford are going to push back on the bottom. It's going to be Gilliland at the stripe this time. With 9 circuits remaining, it's not 2-car tandem racing, Joe. This is 3-car trio racing. Crawford and Hudson now disengage. It is Hudson and Gilliland up front here at Daytona. And don't look now, here comes John Adams and company on the very top, back at about 10th.
01 Hudson in the Ford is second. Meanwhile, the third line trying to form once again with Hudson and Schoenberg, the 55 machine, trying to make it work up front. And now, way up the very front, it's the 01 of Hudson. He's going to go to the middle line. He's going to challenge the 81 for the lead. On the middle line, the 01 could take away the lead if the price is right.
11 all kinds of sideways in the draft in the middle of this pack. The 80, the 21 of Gorlinski goes high. Look for the 11 to go up with the 21 here of John Gorlinski. The 01 of Tyler Hudson is leading the middle groove now as the outside groove begins to show up as the 55 of Brian Schoenberg up there on the outside. Guys, it would be a huge story if Schoenberg can win his first race at Daytona.
It absolutely would. All the grief some of his competitors give him, it would be awesome for that Abutter Revolution main performance PC team if they could get to victory lane in arguably the biggest race of the season here at Daytona. And right now, Schoenberg has a shot at it. It's Gilliland back up front now as the bottom lane has the momentum. Hudson now starting to get a little bit of a toe off the side draft with Davies in rears giving him a shove. Gorlinski and Schoenberg though, Joe, it's almost like they've run into a big brick wall up top. They haven't made any ground for about the past lap.
They desperately need some help if they want to try to get in front of this field, and they are not getting it right now. The 2-car draft will not work if you're going against lines of 4, lines of 5. The 81 of Gilliland continues to lead. The 01 needs to do something. He needs some help out there. And now here comes the 21 and 55. They found a second win. They put the sails up, and they're going to try to challenge the lead.
Here comes Gorlinski to the outside, Tyler Hudson in the middle, and on the inside line, Adam Gilliland still trying to win this race in the Gary Mercer Trucking Chevrolet. At the line, John Gorlinski and Adam Gilliland were close for that lead position. Give it to John Gorlinski by 0.06 of a second. 3 wide for the lead. Tyler Hudson trying to take it away in the middle with Brad Davies in tow, along with Brandon Cattell and John Adams.
This is probably not the best time to say this for fear of jinxing it, but guys, once we get to about 5 laps to go, if the caution comes out, we do not race back. The field is instantly frozen. There is no green-white checker. Here comes Davies on the outside. He has the lead. Cattell in the wall. Gorlinski in the Lawton. And we have got big trouble. Caution is out. And it looks like Gilliland has the lead. Guys, I don't know if we're going to have a one-lap shootout or not, but we may have a one-lap shootout to the checkers, Joe.
All indications say we're going to have a one-lap checkers or wreckers finish. Adam Gilliland will be in front of that field. Crawford in second and Tyler Hudson behind him in third. So now the game of roulette begins. It's anybody's run out there with one lap to win it all. Get ready for some very, very exciting racing coming up on lap 100.
Nim Cross, we saw that. It was just a matter of time. Something was going to happen. Who was involved in that caution flag, and whose Daytona dreams have just been shattered with 5 to go?
Well, it started up front with Cattell, the 80 car, Brandon Cattell getting into the wall a little bit, and Gorlinski could not avoid. That turned Gorlinski sideways down into the 26 car, and the 26 car got into the 3, and then it was on from there. We have Schoenberg with the 59 car, the 29 car took a big hit into the wall. I believe that's Kevin King. and he's heavily damaged, and his night probably over.
Yeah, and there's a lot of guys that barely got through that. Matt Busa, I think, barely got through it. Chad Coleman, Andrew Fyash III squeaked through it. It was a pretty narrow place to get through those cars, Joe. You had them bumping each other and checking up on the inside. You had crashing on the outside, and then you had Kevin King cutting across everybody. That was not a great situation to be in, but I will tell you one thing. Great job by all those guys that it was not any worse than what it was. When you get to this point in the race, it's almost hammered down until you hear the spotter say caution.
You know, and you saw a lot of those guys do that. Just put the hammer down, keep their head down, and keep digging through this field. You saw them go 3 wide there for several laps, and unfortunately it just wasn't sustainable for Gorlinski. He was just not able to hang on to it, but he did pick up the bonus point for at least leading 1 lap, so that will help him as we look forward to next week. But that being said, you don't want to come to Daytona to pick up points. You want to come to Daytona to win. And for a handful of guys now, it's going to come down to that 1 lap, that 1 magic lap, where they're going to have to prove it. It's going to be all or nothing coming up right here.
Looking down the list of drivers in the top 10, we could very well see someone etch their name into the history books and join the likes of Dale Earnhardt Jr., Ray Alfala, and Jeremy R. Allen as winners at Daytona. Adam Gilliland, Jared Crawford, Tyler Hudson, your top 3. They have never won a points race in this NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship. Adam Gilliland has won a race in the Pro Series. Jared Crawford finished 2nd in the Pro Series this last season, but did not win a race. 2nd was the story of his season. He finished 2nd, I believe, 4 or 5 times in that series, could not close the deal. Tyler Hudson won the shootout 1 week ago. Brad Davies has been around since the dawning of day, essentially, when it comes to sim racing. He runs in 4th, and one name we haven't talked about a whole lot this evening that is a name that's familiar in the iRacing service is Landon Huffman. Huffman is also one of those drivers, Tony. We talk about Josh Berry that races a late model. Landon Huffman as well races a NASCAR Whelen All-American Series late model in real life. He runs in 5th, and he's looking to take a NASCAR-sanctioned win home here as well. 3 laps remaining as they come across the stripe. You see a lot of guys in the back half of that top 10 as well. John Adams is a former winner in this series. Brandon Cattell is still shown in position number 7. Brandon Schmidt 8th. Peter Bennett in 9th. One driver we haven't talked about a whole lot this evening, and Andrew Fyash III squeaked into this series, squeaked into this race, and might very well squeak into a win if he can get some luck with 1 lap to go.
He's going to need a bunch of luck, to say the least, Tim, back in about the 10th spot. But as we said earlier, anything can happen. You just saw it. You didn't know what was coming. I mean, you knew something was coming, but you didn't really know what was coming. And there you see John Adams as he tries to think about what's going to be going on here, coming to the white, hopefully the white and the green here in about a lap or 2 as we get ready to try to settle this NASCAR iRacing.com Daytona 250 season opener for this series. And Adams, as we said, might have a shot at it in his Wheelman Inc. Chevrolet. And Joe, you talked about the makes up there. I think Tyler Hudson right now, the only contender for the Blue Banner Brigade, as he is the only Ford inside the top 10. Chad Coleman in 12th is the next fusion in the running order. So Hudson might be all by his lonesome up there as far as the Ford power goes, but he's got enough behind the wheel, I think, to maybe try to overcome. There's not a disadvantage at all. The cars are equal. Let's not imply that. But I think he's got he needs some help with whoever's going to work with him, but I think maybe he can win this race. He proved last week that he's very good here, and he has a shot to win if all the circumstances fall the right way. But you know what? 2.5 miles on the last lap of the season opener at Daytona, I really don't put anything past these guys. It wouldn't surprise me if, Carson Downs in 21st wins the race.
Lights should be off this time by, and Tyler Hudson, the only Ford in the top 3 and the only Ford within spitting distance of winning this race. The next Ford in this field is going to be way far back in this field. It's going to be the number 28 of Chad Coleman running 12th. Lights are off. We are going to have a 1-lap shootout as predicted, and now Here's where it gets interesting. You got a lot of very talented drivers. Adam Gilliland, who's led the most laps here tonight. Jared Crawford, who's been a threat up front. Tyler Hudson, who is always a threat. And then you guys got guys like Landon Huffman, John Adams, who's worked his way back up. Brandon Cattell, also in that mix. It's still anybody's race, and it will be determined by one lap.
Keep in mind, these drivers on the final lap race back to the start-finish line if they do take the white flag. So if Adam Gilliland can come across and take the white flag without the field wrecking behind him before he does so, they will race this final lap out to the checkered flag. So Adam Gilliland, Jared Crawford, they need to cross the line in order for the sim to trigger that white flag, and then the next flag will decide the race, which will be the checkered flag for the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship round number 1 at Daytona. Keep in mind, coming up on Saturday is round number 2 of the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series from Interlagos. They will race on the beautiful circuit that iRacing has provided them on Saturday morning, and then 1 week time we hit Las Vegas. Somebody is going to gamble there. Can Jake Sturgis come away with the win again, or will it be somebody else etching their name into the history books at Las Vegas? 1 week time on iRacing Live, PSR TV, and MRN. We are getting ready for green and what is going to be a very hectic last lap. Tony Stevens, bring us to green.
The field will work off the 31-degree banks of turn number 4 for the final time at a reduced rate of speed. It will be Adam Gilliland and Jared Crawford leading the field down in row 1. Tyler Hudson, Brad Davies, Landon Huffman, and John Adams. Brandon Cattell and Brandon Schmidt. Pace cars off. Hudson pushing Adam Gilliland across the start-finish line. Green is out. We will race back to the checkered flag. It is Gilliland with the lead as they gain speed down the short chute into turn number 1. Here comes Crawford up top, trying to pinch his teammate Hudson down. He gets a side draft. They work off turn number 2 down to the super stretch for the final time, Joe.
Now on the backstretch, the 83 has a run with the 11. The 01 stuck behind the 81. If they're going to make a move, they got to make a move going into turns 3 and 4. Not going to happen to the 01. 83 still has a chance to win it. 3 and 4, now going into 3 now. The 81 continues to lead. The 83, the 01 now trying to make it work. Oh, neck and neck down to through turn 4. Now on the front stretch for final time.
Adam Gilliland goes to the high side. Hudson gets turned. Who's it going to be at the stripe? Adam Gilliland will win round number 1 of the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship at Daytona. And everybody behind is piling in into the wreck. Adam Gilliland goes to victory lane over Jared Crawford, Landon Huffman, Matt Busa, and Brandon Cattell, your top 5. And guys, you look at that top 5, all graduates from the 2012 NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series.
Yet, Tim, it really shows you the quality of talent that comes through the iRacing.com Pro Series, the feeder division, the nationwide series, if you will, for these cars. And there's a lot of big talent that comes through there. And it goes back to prove, like we've said, out of the 40,000 plus members of iRacing, the best ones rise to the top if you so choose to pursue it. And we saw it right here. A big upset in that really none of the seasoned veterans of the iRacing.com Series World Championship we're in that top 5, Joe. It's all been a bunch of rookies up front, and it could signal a changing of the guard, especially with Ray Alfala pretty much finishing shotgun on this field.
Adam Gilliland now turning the donuts in the infield, ripping up Daytona's beautiful Millie manicured grass. Your winner out here. I think we're going to see a big change of the guard as the rookies take it away from the veterans. This Gen 6 car has changed everything for these guys out here, and I think these rookies have a little bit better handle on it, and it's going to make for a very, very interesting season to follow.
The Gary Mercer Trucking, Tim's Corner Motorsports, JDR Graphics, Virtual Performance Racing, number 81, celebrates at Daytona. He is your winner of round number 1. We will talk to your top 5 finishers in just a few moments' time. We'll step away, and we'll bring you back to the post-race show at Daytona.
Welcome back to Daytona International Speedway, where the iRacing NASCAR World Championship Series had got the first race in the books, and we're still out of breath here at Daytona. Adam Gilliland came home with the win, just a mere 21 thousandths of a second over Jared Crawford. Landon Huffman, Matt Bussa, Brandon Cattell rounded out the top 5 in the final lap chaos here in the Tri-Oval. Tyler Hudson unofficially finished 6th, followed by John Adams, Peter Bennett, Derek Crone, and Chad Coleman. And again, we stress all these results very unofficial. Once video is reviewed by iRacing officials, we know one thing though for sure, and that is that Adam Gilliland beat Jared Crawford back to the start-finish line, and Adam Gilliland is standing by with Tim Terry in victory lane. Tim?
A very ecstatic Adam Gilliland. Adam, you are a NASCAR-sanctioned winner at the Daytona International Speedway. How does it feel to be in victory lane for this NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship?
It hasn't quite sunk in yet. I'm sure it'll sink in by tomorrow morning, but it just feels awesome. It was a great race all race long. I got a little bit off sequence in the first strategy by staying out with my teammate Matt Whitten, and ended up recovering nicely, though. Just knew with that one-lap shootout that it was going to be about making friends, and I was talking to Tyler D via in-race private message, and I understand he was teammates with Jared Crawford, but he was going as hard as he could there in the last lap, just as I was.
Want to talk about you and Matt Whitten coming down pit road on the second caution flag of the evening. You guys had to work your way back up to the front. Then there was a wreck. You lose Matt Whitten. What was the thought strategy going there as to, you talked about Tyler Hudson, but who else to work with because Matt Whitten no longer there?
Yeah, I was definitely a little bit scared. Thankfully, the caution fell when it did, whenever they wrecked out of 4, and I think it was Tyler behind me with Brad Davies on the outside. It came out perfect where I was still leading. I think that was probably my saving grace. But I knew once Matt wrecked that it'd be pretty difficult to hold him off. This toughest competition I've ever raced, and with the whole field coming behind me, I knew I was in a vulnerable position.
Let's talk about that one lap dash, biggest restart of your sim racing career.
Yeah, without a doubt, especially with the likes of Jared Crawford, Tyler D, and all the other guys for that matter, having to hold them off. I knew it was going to be a tough task at hand, but I feel like I handled it good.
For those that don't know the impact of this series, how big is this win?
It's absolutely huge. I've reached the top level in sim racing, and I'm very happy to knock off a win in the Series World Championship. My Facebook feed's blowing up. I've got over 30 notifications, if that tells you anything. So I'm very happy for this win, and I'm looking to continue this momentum into Vegas.
I was about to say, you don't have a whole lot of time to celebrate because next week we head to the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, and that is a track where it seems to bring luck to drivers. We had Jake Sturgis last year come away in victory lane with fuel mileage. Have you tried this new Gen 6 car yet at Las Vegas, and what do you expect out of race number 2?
I think it's going to be a really good race. The outside in turn 1, you can really work it, so it's going to be some great side-by-side racing. I actually have ran quite a bit, I think over 300 or 400 laps practicing with setup, and I had to get my practice in early because I'm actually leaving tomorrow morning at 5:30, or this morning at 5:30 in the morning, heading to Bristol for the NASCAR race. So I'm just going to celebrate this as is, and I'll be back Monday, and I'll have very limited practice, but I feel I got the team behind me, and we'll be strong come Vegas.
Now, before we let you go, you have a lot of sponsors on your car, and you have a lot of teammates that help you get to this point. Who makes it happen for Adam Gilliland?
First and foremost, I can't thank Brennan Mercer with Gary Mercer Trucking Inc. enough. He sponsors quite a few of my teammates on my team, and he's been a very supportive ever since the Pro Series and a little bit before that, and I can't thank him enough. I can't thank you, Tim, enough for having Tim's Corner Motorsports on the car. I'd also like to thank JD Laird with JDR Graphics. He does a great job painting cars. You can follow him on Twitter at JDR Graphics, or you can go to his website, jdrgraphics.com.
That is Adam Gilliland, the winner of round number 1 of the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship at Daytona. Going to go over to Nim Cross with a driver who wrote his Pro Series yearbook on second place finishes. Jared Crawford comes home in second with Nim Cross.
Jared Crawford, second place here at Daytona in the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship. Jared, did you think you had a shot coming to the line there?
Oh, definitely. I thought I had it until Adam threw it way up there, and I had to basically hit the wall to not hit him and slow my momentum down any more than I did. But that was one hell of a finish. Congrats to Adam. That was hard fought. I've never run good at plate tracks. I'm just surprised how good the car was to stay pretty much top 5, top 10 the whole race.
Well, tell us about your race. What got you to the front?
Well, on the start, I started, I think, like 15th, and I just went to the outside, and within a couple laps, I was running in the top 5, and I just tried to stay there pretty much. Whatever lane I was in seemed to move. I tried to just to keep up with Adam and Matt Witten. Those guys were flying. I tried to pick whatever lane they were in because that seemed to move, and that's kind of how I stayed there.
Well, second place here at the World Center of Speed at Daytona. And moving on to Las Vegas next week. Tell us what you got for a package there. What kind of strategy you got going on? How it's going to be?
Hopefully qualify up front and stay up front. The one groove bumps kind of in 1 and 2 makes it really, really hard to pass. So we'd like to stay towards the front, and probably a lot of two-tire strategies you'll see, because it's just, like I said, it's just so hard to pass. You can get to the inside in 3 and 4, but by the time you get to 1 and 2, the bottom's so bad that the top just whizzes right around you. So we're going to hopefully qualify up front and stay up there.
Tell us about your sponsors.
I'd like to thank JD Laird from JDR Graphics for coming on board for DWC. I was sponsorless All-Pro, and I was trying pretty hard to get one. And he stepped up a couple weeks ago for all the races. And I'd really like to thank him for coming on board. First sponsor I've ever had in sim racing, so it's a cool deal.
Congratulations on your second place finish here at Daytona. Good luck next weekend on Las Vegas. We're going to send it over to Tony Stevens, who's got your third place finisher.
Unofficial third place finisher, I'd like to stress, and that is Landon Huffman out of Claremont, North Carolina. Landon, I know your dad has had a lot of laps around the Daytona International Speedway. You grew up seeing trophies from that racetrack in your home, and now here you have a chance to race. Maybe not in the physical car like you'd like to, maybe, although I know you're working to get there. But in a NASCAR sanctioned race at Daytona, you end up finishing third. Was there anything you could have done looking back in that final lap to maybe have a shot at Gilliland and company?
Well, it looked like him and I think it was Crawford was pretty hooked up there on the bottom. And, coming to the checkers, I got into Davies. It kind of looked like it netcoded a little bit. We were all pretty close, but when it comes down to it, I think I'll take the blame for that one, for causing the wreck there at the end. But, yeah, anytime you get to race at Daytona, especially in a NASCAR sanctioned event, it's a lot of fun, and it definitely means something. I'd like to have got a win, but usually I'm not very good at super speedway races, so I was pretty happy coming home third, and I'm super excited going into Vegas for sure.
Yeah, you didn't qualify very well at all. I think you were one of the guys that just kind of barely, well, really, almost everybody barely made it into the show. The entire field separated by less than 1/2 of 1/10 of a second. What was the biggest key to snaking your way and guiding your way through the field to get in position to finish where you did?
My main thing was just being smart. My spotter, R.J. Williams, he kept me calm throughout the whole race, and we just tried to, be in the right place at the right time and make the right decisions, avoid the wrecks, and we did a pretty good job of doing that, and ended up putting ourselves in good position there at the end. I think we stayed out that last caution, well, not the caution before the last one, and put us like 8th or 9th, and then we got on the bottom, and it seemed like we trained the outside there and got us to look like 4th or 5th for that final restart. And but yeah, just being smart, keeping the car clean and trying to put myself in good positions throughout the race.
Well, you did a great job of that, although that last lap, maybe you could argue, wasn't the best position, sideways and crumpled up. But hey, you crossed the stripe unofficially in third. That's all that matters. And who helps you out? Who makes it possible for you to be here talking to us tonight after running the first race in the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship?
Well, I got to thank everybody who's helped me get to this point on the service. It's been a long journey, but it's fun to know that it's finally here. And I got to thank all the guys at Last Row Motorsports. Joey Brown, Lee Herron, Brandon Cattell, Brandon Schmidt, all the guys who worked really hard on these setups, Brody Kostecki. Like I said, I'm not the best super speedway racer, so the setup was definitely true to form here. And but I gotta thank Real Sim Racing, Sim Seats, who makes great cockpits. He's on board. Both of them are for the entire season. Matt Rolfe Designs for painting that awesome car you just saw on the racetrack, and yeah, once again, just the team. Everybody who's helped me get to this point. It's been a blast. I can't wait to see the rest of the season.
Well, it should be fun to see. That's Landon Huffman from Last Row Motorsports. Finishes unofficially in third here at Daytona. Joe Cortez standing by with the guy that, by our calculations, slid across the line in fourth, and that's Matt Bussa. Joe?
Matt Bussa coming up from the 2012 Pro Series in his first start here in the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship. And Matt, as you look back at the 2012 Pro Series, did you ever think in your wildest dreams that here in the first race of the 2013 NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship, you'd be finishing fourth?
Man, I would have never thought that. With all the big guys in here, like Alfala, it's a two-time and all them, I would have thought maybe a top 20 I would have been happy with. But the fourth place is just amazing.
You came into this race in the 23rd position. You were able to climb 19 to what is so far an unofficial fourth position finish, climbing up 5 positions to get to where you're at from that restart. What was going through your mind at that restart, sitting in 9th? What were you thinking? What was the logic that was going through your head? Were you just going for the top 10 finish, or did you want to take it home in the top 5?
Yeah, I was just going to be happy with the top 10 there. And I got to thank my spotter, Zach Hudson. He helped me get a really good restart there. And coming out turn 2, I was already up to like 7th. And then I got around, I think it was Peter Bennett on the backstretch, and then just got pretty lucky there. The wreck happened in front of me. They stayed high and, like you said, slid through the grass and somehow came across the line in 4th.
So obviously, this is going to be a big boost to your campaign towards the championship. What did you learn here tonight that you're going to carry with you next week to Las Vegas?
I've learned a bit about like how some of the other guys race, who to trust around me and stuff. And also, I've always had the strategy of hanging out back and then going to the front at the end. That's what I did tonight. My average running position is probably like 30th or something like that. And I don't know if I'm going to do that next week at Vegas because I've got a pretty good hot rod there, but I'm probably going to stick with that strategy for some other races throughout the year.
Let's talk about the hot rod real quick. It seems like the rookies have got a better handle on this Gen 6 car than do the pros. We talked about that at the end of this race tonight. How and why do you think that we see so many Pro Series drivers who have come up through the ranks having a better handle on this Gen 6 car tonight?
First of all, it's like rookie field here is full of really strong guys. This is probably the strongest group we've ever seen. And especially because the pros, like the DWC guys had about, like a 6-month break, 5-month break. And the pro guys here, rookies, we were racing all the way through the end of January and then doing testing all through there. So we didn't really have any breaks, so that may be a factor in it.
Matt, who makes it work for you in the 34 team?
Got to thank my sponsor, Micron Industries. Go to micronpower.com for any transformer needs. My team, Nexus Esports, run by Zach Hudson, and all the guys there help me on setups, especially Joe Slama, Brandon Bowie, Armando Vargas, Devin Hall, Matt Wright, Jeremy Lukaska, Brian Day, Trey Jarrell. And for this week, I actually was able to get on board with Gale Force with Nick Oninger. And they helped me out this week at Daytona, and I got to thank them a lot. And also one last group, the guys at FND, David Harris and Jason Yacht. They're the Super Speedway Masters that hooked me up with the setup.
The man from Darien, Illinois, Matt Bussa, finishing 4th tonight. Matt, good run tonight. We'll see you in Vegas next week.
Thanks, bud. See you there.
Nim Cross with our 5th place finisher, Brandon Cattell.
Down here with Brandon Cattell from Last Row Motorsports in Cape Coral, Florida. Brandon, coming to the line, you were in 7th, but wound up 5th. Tell us about your race.
We had a good race. It was a crazy race. I was mostly trying to ride in the back the whole race. Sometimes I didn't find myself doing that. I don't know why. I guess it was kind of fun to run up front. I was having a pretty good race. I thought it was going to come down to fuel mileage there, and then that late caution came out, and everything got messed up. Back on the restart, I started thinking it was time to go, and I just started working with some people, and then I found my way up to 4th after that last caution with 10 to go. And then I think I hit the wall on with 6 to go, and then I think it caused one of the guys behind me to wreck. I'm not sure. And then we had that one lap shootout, and just went for broke.
Yeah, you looked like you were up high there and got a little piece of the wall. A lot of 3 wide situations throughout the race where you were up high. Tell us about what it's like running 3 wide.
Oh, it's fun. It's when you see it on TV how these guys, they run 4x4x4 and 3x3. It's just it's unbelievable. You think you can't do that, and then when you do it with these caliber of drivers, it's really amazing to know that all these drivers around you are eligible to run 3 wide, 3 rows deep. It's just like, for us to do that many laps and not wreck, it's just outstanding, and it's nice to know these things around these drivers.
Yeah, it was fun to watch, and you were definitely mixing it up out there with everybody. Tell us about Las Vegas, what your hopes are there, what your strategy is going to be there, and then tell us about who makes it happen for you.
Las Vegas, I hope for a top 10 finish. I hope to have just a good run, not to get caused in any wrecks or anything. Just hopefully, I think we have a good piece right now. I know Peter Bennett's been working on a good setup. I think we're gonna run pretty good at Las Vegas. I just think it might be one of those fuel mileage races. I know someone's won on fuel mileage there before, but it's hard to tell. Just these races are unpredictable. The guys at Last Row Motorsports, Peter Bennett, Joey Brown, Lennon Huffman, Brent Schmidt, Jake Sturgis, Dylan Cece, Lee Herron. I gotta thank Lee Herron. He's been helping me on the setup all week this week. The guys at Galaxy Motorsports, I like to thank them for giving me an awesome base to work off of for Q trim and race trim. Like I said, everyone at Last Row Motorsports. I like to thank my sponsors, Integra Roof Tile and Robert Tell Roofing, my dad's company. It's awesome to be racing here.
Well, great job bringing her home in 5th place tonight here at Daytona, the World Center of Speed. And good luck to you in Las Vegas next week. We're going to throw it up to Tim Terry.
We're going to go around the horn one more time for final thoughts. I'll begin with Tony Stevens. What a race to kick off this series. And we look forward in 1 week time to Las Vegas, another track that has provided some surprise finishes and some first-time winners in this series as well.
Yeah, Tim, and it really the first intermediate track test of this iRacing version of the Gen 6 car. If it's anything like we saw at Las Vegas 2 days ago in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, it's going to be a lot of comers and goers, a lot of passing, a lot of things happening where guys can drive through the field and make these cars work for them. So it might not necessarily be the guy that qualifies towards the front that ends up in victory lane. If this race meant anything about the quality of competition coming in 2013, oh, watch out. Ray Alfala and company, yeah, it is on, period. Michael Connie, the guy that finished 2nd last year, missed this show. Ray Alfala, mind you, he got caught up in a wreck, finishes next to last, and the top 5 are all graduates of the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series from last year. A bunch of yellow stripe rookies to this series. Oh boy, the guard's changing, the times are changing, and it's going to be a fantastic season. I can feel it in my bones, Joe.
Tony, I think you said it best right there. The times, they are a-changing. We have a brand new car, we have a brand new manufacturer, and tonight the rookie's really showing how it's going to get done. A lot of buying and selling going to go on in this week leading up to Vegas next week, and I guarantee you a lot of these guys are going to be really rethinking their season, their approach to it, their approach to this new car, and their approach to everything regarding this series. I think this is a wake-up call, in fact, for a lot of these guys who came in through the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship last year. They've got to really step up their game if they want to get back up front tonight. But for the rookies, they got to continue just what they're doing, working hard, making this their race, and really proving that this truly is every man's sport.
we have the most talented series of drivers here in this series, and just a big group of guys who can make it 3 wide like they did and battle each other all race long like they did also. I'm really looking forward to this series. This race was fantastic. We had a couple big wrecks, but we had racing like you wouldn't see anywhere else, and it was a great show.
And we'll see another show coming up in 1 week time at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Same time, same place, 9 p.m. Eastern start. And, of course, we'll have a pre-race show 15 minutes before that as well. I want to remind you as well that the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series heads to Interlagos coming up on Saturday morning. I believe that's a 10 a.m. Eastern start right off the top of my head. Be sure to head over to wcs.iracing.com for all the latest information on not only the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship, but also the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series, which will roll off from Interlagos on Saturday morning. What a fantastic way to kick off this season. Congratulations to Adam Gilliland and the whole Gary Mercer Trucking VPR number 81 team. They'll be celebrating for a week before we head to that Las Vegas Motor Speedway. So for everybody involved here on PSR TV, Zach Stanko, we have Paul Johnson, Ilka Happala, Ian Bushing, Matt Racing Kid Thomas, Chuck Johnson, Joe Cortez, Nim Cross, Tony Stevens. If I forget anybody, I'm sorry. My name is Tim Terry, saying that we will see you in 1 week time when we say, let's go racing from the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Keep the hammer down, and we'll see you at the track.